Hello, hello. Hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm doing one earbud only tonight. Can you guys hear me? Somebody let me know if you can hear me talking. Give me a sign of my own presence, right? Hey, Harry. Thank you. Um, okay, good. Awesome. Great. Okay. Because I'm just doing the one earbud because the other ones, I don't know, it's not working very well. Eastern Kentucky, awesome. Hello, I'm from Eastern Kentucky. Thank you for the heart. All right, guys, we're doing scary stories tonight. I did not realize that it was Super Bowl weekend. I've got a feeling that we're probably not going to get any people tonight because everybody's doing Super Bowl stuff, probably, I suppose. I don't know. I'm not a sports person, so I couldn't care less about the Super Bowl. Grew up in Morgan County. Awesome. Cool. Is it over, Harry? Cat Mama, feel free to jump in the guest box if you have a spooky story. Guest box is open, guys. Anybody who wants to can come up and share a spooky story. Let's see here. Yeah, guest box is open. I want to put the little tag thing on the screen that says that the guest box is open, but I don't know how to do that. All right. Everybody interact with the stream. Click send likes, click the share button, whatever you got to do to get some people in here. Welcome, Cat Mama.
Hey everybody, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the last time I was up here, I told my ghost stories, but I do have a story about strange lights that I saw in the sky when I was younger.
Okay.
Um, so I'm 45, and I was a teenager back in the 90s, and I don't remember the exact year that this happened, but it was the night before Easter, and me and my parents went to the grocery store to get, the last minute items for Easter dinner. And we get back home, and my parents go in the house, and I was just dilly dallying, taking my deary sweet time, going back into the house. And it was a nice spring night. Like the clouds were like those thin, wispy clouds. And I just happened to look up in the sky, and I saw these orbs of light. There were two of them above my house, and they were doing zigzag maneuvers. One was like zigzagging kind of fast, the other one was zigzagging kind of slow. Now, the area where I grew up, it's not that far from a little commuter like airport, and I'm like, I know the lights of an airplane. And I'm like, airplanes do not make these kind of maneuvers. So I didn't know what to think of it, and I was like, well, that's weird. And I went back into the house. Months later, in the summertime, now, again, I'm showing my age, but so back in the 90s, air conditioning was like a luxury. So we didn't have air conditioning in the house, but I did have an above ground pool in my backyard. So if it was a really hot summer night, I would go for a night swim. So that's exactly what I did. And I take my night swim, and I'm gonna get out the pool now. So everyone knows if you have like an above ground pool, you got to climb up the ladder, you got to climb over the little platform, and then climb back down the ladder. So I climbed up the ladder, and again, it's a beautiful summer night, same wispy clouds. As I had climbed up onto the platform, I just happened to look up, and again, I saw the same two lights up there in the sky doing the same maneuvers. Now, this time I was scared, and I was like, what the hell is that? That I couldn't explain, and I like booked it back into the house, right? So when you see something strange like that, you just always try to like think, well, what could this be? I do live close to an airport, but I know airplanes don't make those kind of maneuvers. There was a town, a couple towns away from me, excuse me, and they had like a main street with bars and clubs and stuff like that. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it's those spotlights for the clubs, But I'm like, again, those spotlights are huge and they don't zigzag really fast and quick and everything like that. But I don't exactly know why. I know I probably saw a UAP back then, but this is the kicker. So the area that I grew up in the suburbs east of New York City. So when got older and the internet started, getting bigger and everything like that, I've always been into the paranormal. And so I was doing some research, and apparently there was a UFO crash back in the 90s in not in my area, but maybe like 30 minutes further east of where I grew up. It happened in 1992, and it was called the South Haven crash. So apparently, we have a big laboratory over in the same area by that park, and I learned as an adult. So apparently, that lab might have shot down a UFO because they have some kind of technology. It's a real secret, like, you know, lab. Like, well, everyone knows it, but like, you have to have clearance to work there, and it's just, Um, so apparently, a UFO had crash landed in the park out there. Excuse me, and it was covered up really good by the authorities. If you can Google it, and some things will come up, like it caused like a big power outage, and like a lot of people don't remember much about it because they did such a good job covering it up. But UFO hunters did do a episode about that. It's called Alien Surveillance, and they went to the park, and they had Geiger counters and all their equipment and stuff like that, and they went to the spot where it crash landed. So that spot of the park, nothing grows there anymore, and like the trees are still like um, bent and broken from the crash, and like they did the Geiger counter, and like it was kind of still a little radioactive and everything like that. But I never, so I'm kind of trying to think, well, maybe that's what I saw back in the 90s, because back then there were a lot of sightings of UAPs in my area back in the 90s. But I just wanted to share that with everybody. Thank you for having me, and I can't wait to hear everyone else's stories.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask you real quick. I'm pretty sure I've heard of this case. I think I've covered this case before.
Oh, really?
Was that the one where they said when it went over, like a part of town, it blew the windows out of like a hotel building?
That I don't know. I don't remember hearing that because I just remember that it did crash land in a state park,
Hmm.
and apparently there was one witness who I think he was like camping in the park, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that again because I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
But if anyone wants to look it up, it's called the South Haven crash.
Let me write that down because I feel like I've covered that. I've covered a lot of really obscure UFO cases, not here on TikTok specifically, but years ago.
Yeah.
And I'll look that up.
All right. Thank you for having me, and can't wait to hear everyone else's stories.
Yeah, thank you for coming up. Every time I hit the disconnect button, it just sits there. It does nothing. It's totally unresponsive. Hey, Chris, how are you? I see you throwing some Mothman out in the comments. Everybody tap the screen, send some hearts, get some people in here. More people equals more stories. So definitely tap, interact, leave some comments. Hello, Rubo. I can't see. Are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you very well.
Let me try to turn that up a little bit more. How about now?
It's very muffled. Very, very, very muffled.
I actually even have video footage of it.
Is it muffled for everybody in the comments as well? Or is it just me? Because it may be my earbuds. Yeah, no, they're saying that it's very muffled for them.
How about now? Can you guys hear me a little bit better?
Perfect. Perfect.
Well, probably a couple years ago, my family members were out on their property. It was probably around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and they see something, a bright light in the cornfield, and it's spinning rapidly. This object, which is it starts shooting these things in all directions. And my family members, they went to record it, and they actually got video footage of it. The only unfortunate part is that when they went to record it, it was invisible on their phone. So they had to switch over to a different filter, and the night vision filter was the only thing that picked up any kind of evidence of this craft.
Ooh, we got a lot of noise. Wow. Oh, he's gone. I don't know what happened to him. Uh, I don't know where he went. Okay, so yeah, that's strange. He got abducted. Oh my God, he totally did. The aliens got him, guys. They took him back. All right, guest box is open. If you want to come up, you may or may not get abducted where you stand, where you sit, because apparently that's a thing here. Everybody tap the screen, send some hearts. More hearts equals more people, equals more ghost stories, and it's free. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, does it? In the middle of moving. Yeah, apparently so. No, it's connecting. Maybe it'll connect. Chief, you're not connecting for some reason. Connecting. Oh, there you are.
Okay. Sana dapi kekuan. So let's give you a quick introduction to what I just said. Okay means hello in our language. Say it with me. Okay. Okay. Hello.
Oh, okay. Is it with like
Say
a
it
party?
slow. Okay. Not okay. Okay.
Okay, I
Oh,
got you.
key, like old key, but it's like okay. And then the second part is sanadapi. Sanadapi means how are you? What are you doing? Sanadapi.
I'm
And
not real
then
good at it. I don't want to butcher it, but
oh no,
we're
you know
glad to
that you
see you
gotta,
here tonight. I'm
here's
glad you came
I was
back.
just thinking today that we don't fail enough. We don't fail enough. Everybody wants to be so perfect. Fail a little bit. Step out of your box. I mean, try it out. You learn. You can learn from your mistakes. So say it with me. Say it with me. Oh, someone got it. Look at that. Okay, sana dapi. Exogapia. So she's got it. She's got it right. And so what that means is hello. How are you? And then you say sana dapi. And if you're in a good mood or if you're doing good, it's sukapi. Or if you're really good, exugapi. But then if you want to say, I'm not feeling good, it's exagapi. There's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Su
Yeah.
versus sa. It's just this one little vowel change, and it turns it into two different words. So,
Chris in the comments says Sarah's white. Leave her alone.
sorry, what?
I
I didn't
know.
see that.
I'm hanging on, man. I'm hanging on by a thread. But so, how are you doing tonight, Chief? You
Oh,
got
come on,
a wild
Ollie.
story for us?
Come on. You're always in school. As long as As long as you live, you're always in school, honey. Oh, I used the honey. My bad, my bad. I'm a little old sometimes, and I slip that slip. But yeah, and yes, we're always in school. Nature's our school, and they quit learning is the day we just we quit. Oh,
I
another
agree.
one. Well, they don't listen. Always got to be a couple trolls out there. That's all right. No, you know what? This is me sober. When I'm drunk, I pass out, and I'm really terrible. Oh, you know what? This whole censorship thing is just drives me nuts. I grew up in the '80s. We didn't have no filter back then, you know.
Hmm.
Mm. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Um,
Yeah, I think Chris missed the stories the other night. He's not been here for a little while. He's usually up here with me, and he missed all of the great stories from last week. So you'll have to tell us another good one
oh,
so
I
he can
will.
get acquainted.
Yeah, I will. I will. I just thought I would just fool around with you guys and shake it up a little bit and just see how you're doing. I mean, everybody must be left feeling leftovers from Super Bowl, overeating and watching the Chiefs win. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't watch sports.
yeah. See, I
I do
boycotted
not
this year.
like sports.
The only thing I watched was a halftime show and some commercials, and that was it. So, we were talking about the other night. We were talking about the different spirit animals in the world. Um, so, like we were talking about Bigfoot and how he's used for medicine in some places, and he's always traveling. He's a travel. His people are travelers. They don't. That's why we can't find them, is because they don't live in one spot. And when they're traveling, they don't just travel our world. They walk places that gets them there faster, or that way. That's why we can't see them. And if we see them, it's just it's just as a slight slip up. Um, and it's really his power is strong. And with any one of our animal people out there, they were they offer what we call medicine. And like me and the other guy were talking about our reservation, we believe in everything, and our power comes from these animals, but we give a little piece of ourselves to them animals. So as and so they're people, but sometimes they're not people. I don't know if that makes I do. Let me get done here, then we'll talk. I know a little bit, but not much. But so again, this is my uncle. My uncle was a BIA cop, and if you don't know what BIA stands for, Blackfeet Indian Agency, or Bureau of Indian Affairs. And what these Bureau of Indian Affairs, they're kind of like an inter-reservation police force. And so where my uncle was staying, he and his friend, they would do patrol. And Bigfoot, a lot of his power comes from like the Pacific Northwest, and that's a lot of those Indians over there use him. The Lummies, the Salish, the Kootenai, all of them. That's their spirit animal. That's the one that they ask medicine for. And and as with any tool, you can use it for good or you can use it for bad. Well, the one time, and this is really more of an encounter with him. So they got a call. I got a call. Hey, somebody, when those bears are getting into our trash cans again, because you could hear them digging around, and that one. My uncle's like, oh, okay, well, 10-4, we'll go check, we'll go buy it. My uncle and his partner, They were cruising over there, and they were just enjoying themselves. And the they get to this spot, and where it is these, the big green cans that we put trash in. So that's what you can hear it. Whatever it was, that bear, if they thought it was a bear, was digging in there, and they were like, "Whoa, geez, that's not good." So they were going to call Fish and Wildlife, but they wanted to make sure that that the bear was. It just to make sure it wasn't fair. Well, of course it was feral. I can't remember exactly what he said, but they wanted to make sure. And so they went around, and they come around, and as they're walking around that those trash cans, my uncle runs. He says, "Well, I'm going to go back," because he didn't see anything on his side. He said it was clear. And so his partner says, "Well, I'll finish up," and he goes around. And as he goes around, he sees his friend running. He was running, and he's like, "Start the car, start the car." And my uncle, he reacts. He starts the car, and his friend is running. And as he gets in the car, my uncle, he says, he had his window open, and he smelled. Now, people know there's a lot of people when they talk about encounters with like Bigfoot. It's a strong smell, musk, and
I've heard that.
It smells like dirty feet, and that's what hit him was that smell, and he didn't, he wasn't sure what it was, and he looks back in the back mirror, the rear view mirror, and as he's doing that, there's this shadow upon the back of the car, and he thought it was a person at first because it was standing on two legs and all this other. And he looks back, and as he's looking, this thing he wasn't sure, but it was tall. And my uncle was 6'5", and he was about 230 pounds, so he's a big guy. But he said whatever this was, it was at least 7 foot, and it was wide. And all of a sudden he sees it nails the hood and about breaks the shock. And so you got to understand that to break shocks, you really have to hit the car hard. But when this thing hit that car, it about broke the springs. And my uncle, he just cut it, headed out. And as he was going out, he said the car stopped just for a second. And he was like, he didn't know what the heck was going on. He thought something broke. And what he does is he grabs what it was that and my uncle finally realized what it was. That Sasquatch had been grabbed the car, and he was so strong he picked it up, and they couldn't go anywhere. And the guy, his partner next to him, was white as a sheet, and he was just screaming, and he was frightened. I mean, he was a police officer. He'd seen tons of things in his life, but that had him screaming like a woman. Well, I'm not trying to be misogynist, but what they used to say, screaming. And it was that guy. He was just so traumatized. And my uncle's, I don't talk to him about it very much because he was a Vietnam vet. And so after that had happened, he had taken some time off from being a cop because it affected him so badly, and it really enhanced his PTSD. Back then, they didn't call it PTSD; they call it shell shock. And my uncle, he was never the same. But for some odd reason, every time he got in trouble with the spirits or something happened, it was Bigfoot. They used his power to hurt his family, us. One time my grandma had gone over to help heal my auntie. So she was sitting outside. Her grandma, her daughter, my auntie, she was sitting out there, and she fell asleep. And so she was sleeping, and she said she woke up in her dream, and she said it was just so realistic. It's like she was right there. And where she was in a lake, in the middle of a lake on a boat. And she was sitting there, and then she was kind of like, huh, what am I doing here? And so what happens is they looked at, she looks out on the shore, and there's this thing. It was dark, and it was huge. Um, and she was like, well, what, where am I? And so she was going to start paddling back. But what she noticed about this was that it was a Sasquatch. And she knew if she'd come to the shore, he would have got her, and in turn he would have got the rest of us. So my grandma was the one that decided if we got caught or not with this medicine. And she fought that medicine. She stayed out the middle of that lake all night. And she said she remembered it would say, come on in, it was temptation. And she just said, no, thank you. I'm going to stay right here. And she says, well, I'm going to go after your family. And then a cabin shows up. And it was going to run to this cabin and start terrorizing. But she's like, you can't touch him because you can't touch me. And so after that happened, come morning, she woke up just suddenly. And there was a medicine man sitting next to her. And he says, you dreamt about him, huh? And that freaked my grandma out even more because she, you just don't walk up to a person and say something like that without them freaking out. And that old man, he told her, he says, you dreamt about him, didn't you? And he tried to get you to come in. And that old man told her, you know who that was, don't you? And she says, no. And she says, well, that's what we call, they have a name for him. And that's who he was. He was out there. Someone used his medicine for bad against our family. And after that had happened, after she finally woke up and she beat it, when she got done getting beat, she beat it. It went home. It went back to the people who unleashed him. But the damage was so bad to our family. I mean, when the people don't realize when they release this medicine, it doesn't just affect the person; it affects everybody in our family. And so, like the other time I told you, this other time when that they used it, and it was it about destroyed my family with divorce, and my dad's wife ended up sleeping with my uncle. And she was never that kind of person. She was really kind of a religious woman. And she said it just felt right. So yeah, a lot of times you never know about what we call normally like Sasquatch and stuff like that. Don't realize that they're medicine people. And like I said, with us, just about everything we live with in this world, all the animals and certain plants and certain things are walk with us, just like the end of the person. And so one of them, like I said, is Goniskina. And Goniskina's the mouse. And he is one of the greatest healers of our people. So there's a story, and I'll tell you about it tomorrow. I'll be back. I'll come back and kind of but it talks about how we got a game we call hand game where we're at, and it was all because of Goniskina and all of them. But yeah, someone is asking me a question out there. I mean, I'll answer a couple of questions, and if I know the answer, I'll make recommendations. But I'm not a medicine man. I'm a spiritual, cultural man. I know stuff, but I'm not I don't. That you got to be a certain person to be a medicine man. You hear about people. Oh yeah, I'm a medicine man. You can't be if you're living the life that you can't, because those old people, they expect you to be pure and honest and clean and all this stuff. And it's hard to be that way in this society because there's so much temptation. So I'm looking out here and I'm reading the board. And you guys are Red Hawk. Are you Navajo? Red Hawk. I see that he brings up those people, those skinwalkers. They kind of don't like talking about him because it's like, you in Harry Potter, he says if you mention Voldemort, he'd show up. Well, that's what they're kind of worried about with skinwalkers, because a skinwalker is a person takes the skin of something, and they're witches, brujas, and when they do that, I mean, they're evil. And a lot of times, one of their medicines is they take a piece of bone and they blow it at you, and that bone it comes into your body, and what it does is it poisons you. But modern medicine doesn't know that. They just assume that it's some weird infection that a lot of times they can't cure. So,
Yeah, I think Chris is up here with us right now. I think Chris had some questions for you, didn't you, Chris?
sure, I ask away.
I had asked him if he knows about the stick figures. It sounds funny, but I think it's actually a thing.
It is. It's not part of my people. That's more Eastern. It's an Eastern people. And every one of the Native American tribes, a lot of them have stories about them little people, and they've always been here. According to what I was told, they're not bad, but they're not good. And if you antagonize them, of course they're going to bother you. They're like crows. Crows, people I don't realize that a raven is so smart that it will remember you after years and years. And when that raven, if you ever to were mess up with the raven's people, they all get together and they will chase you down and they can hurt you. And so these little people, some of them, they talk about that. If you just leave them alone, a lot of this stuff, you leave a lot of this stuff alone. People don't understand. If they start bothering you, um, whatever you have on you, tobacco, um, sweet pine, sweet grass, any of this stuff, you take it out and you put it in your hands, you roll it, and as you're rolling it, you pray. You pray to the Creator. You pray to protection. And he said, "Please help me." And then you tell these things, "Don't bother me no more. Go away." And I know it sounds simple, but the protection starts with you too. And you said you're someone was talking about being attached. There's something in your family that's keeping it there. I don't know what happened, but something is in your house, but it's all something that happened. And you talk about being cleansed and stuff. The cleansing has to go beyond it. Part of it is you have to figure out you might have done something to somebody, or you might have done something to these, like this young man talking about these little people. Um, it could be any one of things like that. Why would you ask that, sir? I want to know.
Oh, there's a YouTuber that I follow, and he goes out there to the Superstition Mountains in Arizona because he's out there looking for that Dutchman's gold or whatever. And
Yeah,
he said he was out there one day, and he thought he saw somebody in the distance, and he waved at them, and they waved back. But he said they were as tall as a person, but they looked like a stick figure, like just really skinny.
yeah. But that what that is just basically I call them Holy Spirit people, and people when you see them, like he's seen them, it's a good thing he didn't go over and try to interact with them or anything because they don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be bothered, and they'll let you know. Because a lot of people don't realize that when they're coming at you, something happened to you. It makes your spirit like a big beacon. It's how you are acting. You did something so hot, so like evilly outstanding, or that it says, okay, let's see who this person is, see what's going on. And sometimes they don't like you. They're going to fix you good. They're going to make your life really hard. And this gentleman talking about stick figures, he did a good thing. He didn't bother him. He didn't try to chase him down. And like some of these guys, these monster hunters. I don't. There's certain monsters that I don't bother me, but a lot of this stuff that lives here in the United States, they're really jealous and mean people when if you don't quit trying to do bother them, because they're so used to being out running in this country alone, no one bothering them. They hunt, they live, they go home, and they don't go out. They don't. They're not like demons and stuff that go out looking for you. They're just people. But when you start bothering them, that's when you give them the power to say, "Hey, I'm gonna fix you." And then some people think, "Well, I'm not. I don't believe in it." What people don't understand is you don't have to believe in them, because they're gonna believe in you, and they're gonna come after you. And we were talking. I see you guys talking about the white religion trying to cleanse these houses. Well, first things first, is that house brand new, or has it been lived in already? If it's been lived in before, if it's been lived in, that there's something there. Look around, look for something that stands out. And a lot of times, if you're smart, you can lay down a ring of salt. This is not Native American lore. This is white lore. As you're putting that salt around it, you ask, create your guys' God, contain, remove. Try it. You talk about this stuff, but look in your house. Something is unusual in your house, or even on you. That whatever's on you, that's what's holding you. But I don't want to. I don't. I'm not trying to solve your problem. I'm just telling you what I know. There are stronger people out there with better medicine, but I'm just the beginning. So there's something you say. There are four attachments. Okay, imagine they're like people. They don't just hang out because they want to. They have a reason to do it. I mean, there's something that happened in your past that makes them think they can stay there. They have names.
Hey, Chief, would you care if I bring Mel up so you can just talk to her person to
No, I
person?
don't mind at all.
Alrighty, let me bring her up. I think I got the right person. It was Mel, right? That had the
Yeah.
attachment?
Yes.
Alrighty. Okay.
Hi.
Okay, you guys can talk now.
So Mel, before you start,
Hi.
I've been reading your post. I can multitask. I can actually
Okay.
walk and chew gum. So
Okay.
um, I was reading that, and you said you've been cleansed. Now, when you've been cleansed, was that what church do you prescribe to?
What church?
Are you religious in that sense? Are you Christian, or are you pagan?
I'm not pagan, no.
So what what really, well, like, you know, it really doesn't matter what
N-
church and stuff that you, but what does matter is that something has happened in your past that's causing these things to feed and to attach.
Um,
And
we don't really think it's from my past. I was at a call center. I started a job in 2007 at a call center for a psychic hotline. And all I did, I connected the caller with the psychic and ran the credit card. And that's when I started hearing a female voice, and the voice followed me home. And that's where my nightmare began. So through the phone line, which is a landline, is where these things became attached to me and followed me
Mhm.
home. That's how my whole nightmare began.
Right.
It had nothing to do with my past or what was going on with my life. I was happily married. It had nothing to do with it. It this thing these things saw me via the phone line from some psychic who probably didn't have a good hold on these attachments, on these things, and they saw me because I had some psychic ability that I wasn't aware of, and they latched onto me.
So that part of it is, yeah, they're feeding off your ability. That's one of the things. But you say there's no, but there is something in your past that attracts them.
No, it
And
has nothing to do with my past.
let me finish, please, ma'am, and
Yes.
then. So what I'm saying is that, regardless of what they're telling your friends and stuff, somebody was powerful in your family, and then they were strong enough that it stayed within your bloodline. And so what they do is these things, they see it and they know. And so what you're talking about is like, yeah, they attach themselves through this lines and stuff like that. But they also, you smell like a roast. You smell like dinner. And so they attach themselves to you. And you say they come to you in your dream, huh?
No, I can hear full conversations from the get-go. I hear them. I can hear them, feel them, see them.
Oh.
No, you're not understanding. I can hear full conversations from the very get-go. I was hearing a voice at
Hmm.
work from the very beginning,
Okay.
and the voice followed me home.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So yeah, so you have, like you said, you do have an attachment.
Yeah,
So
yeah, they follow
so,
me.
so here's a question.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever done a full body check on yourself and something different about what's on your body?
What do you mean a body check?
Go over your body and look for something that's outstanding, like a new blemish, an unusual mark, something that you feel like you're getting pain from it, because what that is where they're at. And so,
Oh, oh, um, they I was thinking that they were coming through my stomach, and then I noticed that there was a little thing inside my nose. But um but I don't really, I don't know for sure.
so,
Other than that, there's nothing else. There's nothing else on me.
you've done a body
Can,
check then.
What was that?
So you did do a body check on yourself to check for different, if there were any other marks or anything of that sort.
No, other than the fact that they've then they physically attack me and leave marks on me.
Mm-hmm. Because the reason I'm being is if you want, and you're talking about these marks that you had, like in your stomach and your nose, grab a little bit of and you don't have to use a needle or anything. grab a
Oh, I
little
can't
bit
get
of
it
time.
off. I mean, I have to physically go to a doctor to get the thing out of my nose.
Mm.
It doesn't come off.
Oh, so it's the growth is what it is.
It's
I think that's where it might be coming from because they gotta have to have a place to live, and then you're not feeling them in your body, so they gotta be somewhere on you. So that maybe that's where that spot might be their attachment to the world and you and what's going on.
yeah, I don't know. I know that the female, well, she's not female in gender. She just sounds female.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, I know she's always on my chest and my neck.
Yeah.
And then I know that one is always there.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the other ones are riding my back.
Mm.
So yeah, but I have pictures of them and I've seen them and felt them and hear them and
So do you have around there, around you, wherever you're at?
yeah.
Do you have native people nearby?
Oh, I've already spoke to native people and stuff, and I've had someone come by the house, and they said to use white tobacco, and they said it wouldn't work anyways. They said they couldn't help me. Um, yeah, because I was at the Paracon in Ventura County last year. And they had the Native Americans there, and they said, and these Native Americans were on Ghost Adventures and with Stefan Pagati, and they heard about my case and through Stefan and stuff, and they said they really couldn't help me, and they said use white tobacco in the windows, and I did that, and it didn't do a thing.
That's because it's not on the house; it's on you.
Well, I know that, but yeah, they said, but they talked about it, and they said they couldn't help me.
So yeah,
Um,
okay, so here's my thing. I'm just trying to help you.
yeah, I know.
Just let me finish. I'm just trying to help you. I'm not trying to be rude or nothing, but I'm just giving you suggestions.
Okay.
And what I'm trying to tell you is, this is my suggestion. Yes, they probably can help you because whatever's attached to you, you have to help yourself with that one a little bit. But what you do is it's like getting a car fixed and you know what's wrong with it, so you start working on it.
Right.
And this thing is like a piece of that problem. It's a bolt or something that's stuck in your body. I'm not. It's just a metaphorical, not a literal.
Right.
And so whatever it is, that's where it's attached, and it's not attached. Like you said, it's not. It's not coming to you in your dreams. It's actually here in this world. So there's got to be a physical manifestation for it here on this world, and there's got to be a spot. And so it needs you as the original person to live on, because somewhere along the line, as a part of the introduction to it in this world, you happen to be the one thing that they came to. So that's what I'm saying is you have. That's why I'm saying look at your body, because a lot of times people don't look at their body. They don't look for marks.
Uh
They
huh.
don't. They don't. And what happens is, you'll be surprised at what you find. And I mean, search everywhere. Your hairline, your nails. I mean, places that you would not think people can reach, but they can. And so, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just
No,
saying,
I noticed there's just this one little thing inside my nose,
mm,
and um, I I thought about going to a doctor and getting it removed. I don't know what it is, but
mm.
yeah.
So, I
So
mean, that's my suggestion. I mean, like I say, I don't know everything, but what I do know is, and what I've seen, and what you're telling me is, I know and I feel in my heart
right.
that when you opened that up, And whoever was asking this other person for help, they were having so much problems that they were looking for psychic help. And it was disturbing everything around them. You just happened to be between the help and the problem. So you were the first jump off point, and that's where they decided, well, okay. And when you were doing that, when you did that credit card, it's like payment.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Stefan Bugatti was saying, you know, because they travel through the phone line,
Mm-hmm.
that, they were like, oh, look at this, a beacon, and I didn't know that I had,
Mm-hmm.
any gifts or anything.
Yeah.
Um, I knew that, like, I was hearing my ex-husband had antiques in the house, and I was hearing, like, whispers in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was hearing them, um, someone would die.
Mm.
And it was somebody close by. And I was just like, that's horrible to, know that, when I hear somebody's whispering, and then when the whispers stopped, that somebody,
Yeah.
close to them was dead. And I
Do you
thought that
still
was
have the
horrible.
antiques in your house?
When?
Do you still have them antiques in your house?
Oh, no. We're divorced now.
Okay.
Oh no, these entities, like, destroyed my life.
Well, yeah, that's
Oh
what they
yeah,
do.
you have no idea. These things are horrible.
I've been.
Um,
My family got hurt. My family got destroyed because of it.
oh yeah, they completely ruin people's lives.
Yep. That's what they
Um,
did.
my marriage was completely turned upside down. Yeah, my ex-husband started, well, he always drank, but he really drank. He drank, was taking meds, and he broke down the door and put 2 loaded guns to my head.
Mm.
And I mean, that just, like, ended the whole marriage. And that was it for us. I moved out, and these things, still, I've moved like 4 times, and these things, doesn't matter what I do, they still follow me.
Yeah, not on the house; they're on you.
I know that. They bother me in my car, at work, the store, doesn't matter. And then, like Stefan Bugatti said, he's been doing this for like 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he can't close my case, and that I'm his top 5 case out of 30 years of investigating ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
investigating the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks that they're interdimensional beings and not demonic.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that it's extremely rare case, because it's so difficult to get rid of these things.
Mm-hmm.
They do react to religious things, but they don't, like, follow the rules or parameters of demonic. Like, they do 2 knocks and not 3, and
Mm-hmm.
there's no, like, odor with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no, like, sulfur smell or anything, and there's not a lot of poltergeist activity. There's
Mm-hmm.
the only poltergeist activity would be the bed, the sheet movements in the bed. They do move we got a full assault on video in bed. which is, you know, really horrifying because you see the sheets moving, but you don't see who's moving the sheets in my private area.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll move an object every once in a while, but it's extremely rare. And then they've done like ding dong ditch where they ring the doorbell.
Mm-hmm.
There's like nobody there. And then they've like sprained my fingers. They scratch me, bite me. They bruise me all the time. They give me migraines. They've raped, molested me. You name it, I've had it done to me all the time. They,
Real quick, just real
yeah.
quick. We gotta watch the language on here
Oh,
because it'll get my
sorry.
live shut down. So just
Okay.
try to use code of some kind, and we'll know
Oh,
what you're
okay.
talking about.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. So these things are really vicious. But I do want people to know that that it doesn't matter if you're a good person or if you're like a bad person, because you can get attachments anywhere you go. And I do want people to be aware of this, and that a lot of people think that a haunted home is really bad and it's horrible to have a haunted home, but attachments are worse because you can leave a haunted home and get your life back, but attachments, there's no place to go. They follow you everywhere. So I want people to know that attachments, you have to be careful because you can get them anywhere. And you don't have to go dwell into the occult to get an attachment, because that's not, because I didn't. I was at a job and I got one. And you don't have to have a bad life to get one. So people, please beware that you can pick one up anywhere you go. Daytime, nighttime, doesn't matter. They don't care. Time has nothing to do with picking one up. So you just have to be really careful out there. Always, have faith and just protect yourself anywhere you go, because you can get them anywhere.
Well, my recommendations.
Yes.
So, in the end, there's something there, like you already know. If you've already been hit by something. I don't think it's just interdimensional. It's not. It's not an American spirit. It's something like like Norse and all them? They have their little people and stuff like that. I think you're having problems with something from the old country, and what's going on there is there's certain ways you have to stop them. Some of them don't like iron.
Oh, I've tried iron.
Yeah,
Doesn't do much.
Cold iron.
Yeah.
There's oh god, I don't even know. There's just certain trees that they don't like. Like they talk about holly and all this other stuff. They don't like those. But it sounds like you got an old country critter, nothing from here.
Uh-huh.
Even if you got it through the phone line, it's something that it's from the old country, and that's why you're having problems, because it predates Christianity and all that other stuff. So it's not it'll laugh at it. It's like, oh, why are you coming out? And a lot of these things come out. They consider the white Christ, white son, exactly that, as a young man. They don't trust. They don't like him, but they don't acknowledge him either. So I'm thinking that's what you have, is you have something old old world, from your guys' country. And I don't, I don't have that kind of medicine. That you're either going to have to do some personal research in the library, or find someone from over there, someone who practices you guys' old ways, and have them look, because because like you said, you had priests and all of them trying to clean you up. These things aren't Christian, so you need somebody who knows something about the old country. What country are you from? Your
I'm
people.
in California.
I mean, where are your people from?
California?
No, no. Where did they come from? Which country?
Where did those things come from?
No, where did your people come from?
Oh,
When
my background?
they traveled from Europe. Which country in Europe did they travel from?
Dutch, German, and English.
Well, the German got, Germans have quite a bit of that stuff running in their blood.
Yeah, I know they don't. I know they don't like Shugnite and hematite.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, I would look into somebody with experience in European critters, because
Hmm.
this isn't an American critter. This is a European. Yeah,
Okay.
because you've already talked to our medicine people here, and
Yeah.
so they're saying they can't. What they saying, they can't help you. Well, then that means that this critter, whatever it is, it's from your guys' world. It's not from ours. It's
Okay.
part of your opiate. And I would try to locate somebody who, what do you guys ever call you guys as magic users? Like witches or whatnot, and ask them, because I bet you any amount of money that if you go to one of your guys' European witches, not Wiccan, not Wiccan, but real actual witches, and have them look at you and see if they find something. I guarantee it's not American.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was actually going to suggest maybe you should try to get in touch with some witches. There are lots of witches here on TikTok. Witch Talk
Yeah.
is very popular.
Yeah. I tried. I went to Pan's Labyrinth. Um, and I got some stuff there that they suggested that was, black magic, and it didn't seem to really really do much of anything. So, I mean, I've tried just about everything. The Shugnite and the hematite was the only thing that really worked. And then wrapping foil from the salon around strong magnets seemed to work as well. Um, but that's about it. And then you have to change things up. You can't keep trying the same thing. Uh, you have to move things around. You can't keep the same thing on you all times. You have to keep changing things around.
What you can also do,
Uh huh.
as part of, and this isn't Native American lore. This is the other lore. From
Uh
what I
huh.
understand, is you build a protection circle underneath your bed, and what it'll do is it'll stop this stuff from coming in under your bed and bothering you in your sleep. And it's just the beginning. It's just a start. But I would say find like I said, find one of your people, one of your guys' holy people over there, and ask them for a protection sigil. They call it protection sigil or runes, and have them show you how to build one, and put it underneath your bed. And I like, again, I said, I guarantee once you start getting help from your people over there,
Uh
things will start. It will start changing,
huh. Okay.
because they're not North American. They're not our people's little critters. They're your guys' European. Yeah,
Yeah.
see right there. This one's talking about a druid. A druid would help you.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'll check into it.
Yeah, because it's not North American. This spirit, whatever it is, it's from your guys' old country.
Yeah, I'll check into it. Thanks for the advice.
Mm, yeah, but that, I
Thank
mean,
you for coming up and sharing with us, Mel. We really appreciate you sharing your story.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I have to work tomorrow, but you guys have a nice evening, okay?
yes, ma'am. You have
You
a good
too.
night.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I guess
I got you. Thank you, Chief, for giving her advice on that. I probably wouldn't have known what to say at all.
Yeah, so I mean that's another thing people don't realize is not all things that go bump in the night are the same people. Some people are native here, just like Native Americans here. Well, there are native things that are here, but then there's a lot of stuff that come over from the old country that don't operate under the Christian God, nor do they operate under ours. So that you have to know your guys' medicine people. And I don't know what where if you guys even have witches and all this stuff because you guys have moved to science, and so you guys forgot how to approach these people of yours because a lot of times one of the main weapons they have is salt, and it's symbolic of purity and strength. And what you can do is you mix just a drop of your blood in it and wrap it around you, and it protects you from that stuff. But that's as far as I know. I don't meddle too much in that stuff. But
Yeah.
this might not be American. This might not be ours. This is something from over there.
Yeah, and I just want to say real quick, I don't know what's going on with my comments. It's been doing this for a while. Red Hawk, I am so sorry that the comments for some reason are not coming through. I keep hitting approve. I don't know why, like if your comments are not showing up, I'm sorry. I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying to get them through there.
Mhm.
Please feel free to keep commenting. I'm trying to, get that lined out because I don't know what's going on. Chris, by any chance, do you see the comments popping up with like a eyeball next to them?
Sorry. Yeah, I just didn't want to approve anything and then have your live get bananaed.
Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. I didn't change any settings, so I don't know why it's trying to censor my comment section. I didn't know if you knew the answer to that.
Yeah, not cool.
So
I've
Red
seen
Hawk, I'm sorry if it eats some of your comments there.
lots of
Yeah,
folks
Chief,
here. I've
you're
seen
so right because I would have definitely probably pointed her in the direction of scientific solutions.
and see I
That's
mean white medicine like that kind of medicine is fine too. It has its place, but also like I said, we're moving away from a lot of that stuff, mystical and supernatural and whatnot. And so you get laughed at a lot of times. You mention that in a regular hospital, but I think that's what's going on. Is she got hit with something from across your guys' old country, and because she's already done everything that our people can help with. And when that old man told her he can't help her, that means he can't help her because this critter isn't ours.
yeah. All
So
right.
one more time with this gentleman on what's his name, horror,
Chris?
Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
So Chris, I mean, let's finish you up, buddy. Um, now here's the thing about people don't realize, just like with us or any critter that lives, things evolve. They're not the same. I'm sure they can be similar to something that's been around for a long time, but because of the world the way it is, they evolve. And this stick figure you're talking about could be one of many things that wander around here. Could be Old spirit, old hunting spirit, could be something that's just looking to live, and you're that guy just happened to see him. And so, unless it's bothering you, this is my philosophy. Unless it's bothering you, don't bother him. Don't go chasing him. Don't think, oh, I'm gonna capture him. I'm gonna look at it underneath the microscope, because he'll take it off. And we don't have our people are pitiful. I mean, the United States is pitiful in the sense of its mystical arts, because we're so scientific that we forgot that there are things that go bump in the night. And no, I'm not a kook. I'll keep telling people I'm not a kook, but it's the honest to God truth, because we just don't believe in anything that's supernatural, because we can't touch it, we can't smell it, we can't all that stuff. So
Right.
that's and so I mean, unless it's bothering you, if your question what it is, that's what it is. This is more than likely an old school, probably from your world, just one of your old school people coming here to live, or one of my people that are walking amongst, just living, and I don't bother it, and you shouldn't either, unless you're looking to change your life for the worse.
Yeah. Yeah. But that guy, you're right. That guy did just kind of you know, he said he waved at it and then he just went on his way, and I think that was the best choice in that situation.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Just they're people, and if you don't bother them, you just say hi, hello, and move on. You're good. But these people that want to dig up bodies and hunt these things, some of them don't take kindly to that. And unless that thing is bothering you, I leave it alone.
Yeah. Guys, hold on. I gotta go pee. I'll be right back, okay?
I do
That's
too. I'm gonna
fine.
have to take a break soon too.
I'll
Yeah,
tell you one more story, and then I got to get ready and go to bed because I got dialysis in the morning.
Okay.
So tonight we're doing ghost stories, and I was talking about Bigfoot. Now he's a traveler, and I'll keep saying that. He's a traveler amongst this world. He takes care. He just wanders the world and learns. And if he decides to teach, he teaches. But then people can use his people, his body, his mind as a medicine to attack. And so anybody can use him. But then there's other things too in our world that don't require their medicine that we created. And there's a lot of ceremonies that now this ceremony I'll tell you about, and it's not a secret. I won't, like I said, I won't tell you anything that I can't tell you, but I will tell you this one, and it's called a shaker. Now the shaker comes from our country, but it's the Plains Indian, and it's a healing ceremony, and it's done by the Crees, the Picani, anybody on the plains. They have a variation of this, and what it is the reason they call it shaker. I'll tell you in a minute here. What you do is you do it at night mainly, and when you come in, you start prepping the room. And so one of the things you prep is you get sewing cloth. Like we call them goods, and you have to make sure when you're doing this that they're the right colors. And so when you get those colors and you get them, you put them down and you start outlining these people, and you outline who you want to come help you. And everybody's got their own helper, huh? And so one of them, I mean, one of the main ones that always on our people in the plains is Bita, and Bita is the eagle, and he's one of the more powerful ones. But the one that people don't realize, like in my part of the world, is they call this guy, he's a small person. His name is Little Joe. And he's an old man, and he helps. And so what they do is they draw these people out, the different animals and different beasts that they're going to call to help heal. And so what they do after they do that, they hang them up on the window. And no, this isn't the shaker one. This is the other one. This is a calling. This is a calling. I'm sorry, this isn't the shaker. But anyways, what they do is they put that them goods up on the wall by the altar. Well, when after they get done doing that, they sit down and they feed a little bit to everybody, and they're offering. And then after they're done, they start. And so they start praying, and people pray and make sure that they're being heard. And as this is happening, they shut the lights off. And when you're doing that, they handed you these rattles. And what is going on is these rattles have power in them. And as they're singing, you can hear them and see them. And then when they strike, it's like lightning and thunder come in, just loud and bright. And after they do that, they start calling these people, these holy people. And they tell them, oh, whoever, oh, Pita, our people's pitiful. We need your help to come help clean us, help these people heal. Come see us. And soon as that happens, and it's happened every time I've seen it, you start hearing something flapping around in that room, flying, and it's loud, and you can feel the air coming off its wings. And as you're flapping, you got this wind coming off them, and then you can hear all of a sudden at once, you can hear that screech. So you hear that screech of that Pita. He's in that room. But there was no, it's a room. People don't just carry a Pita wherever. They call his spirit, and he's sitting there. Then you hear him. He's walking around. The eagle, they have them claws. So you can hear him walking around in there. And he will walk up to that person, and he will start healing that person. He'll start singing in his language, that screech. And as he's doing that, he's singing, and he starts moving his wings. And you feel him in the whole room. But as he's doing that, he's touching that person. And he's telling them, he's like, I'm healing you. And he says, I'm making sure you're all right. And he's saying this in his language, in whatever language. And then after he's done, you stop. And it's just like that darkness has form, like it's there. You can feel the darkness around you. But you also, he's still in that room. And so you're sitting there, you don't say and do anything. You just sit there and you just let him, he'll walk around in there. And there are times when people come in with bad hearts, with bad things on their heart. And it'll tell that old man up on the altar, this one here, I'm going to fix him because he did something bad to these people. And then all of a sudden you hear that Pita. He starts beating the crap out of those people. And he's mad, and he's telling him, he's telling that old man, tell him, you got to knock it off or I'm coming back after you. And you can hear that guy rolling around, getting beat up by that Pita. And then all of a sudden you hear screech, and then they're done. Quiet. And so you give a couple minutes and you sing the song to bring out. Then you turn that light on. And that guy's scratched. And he's bruised, and his hair is all messed up. Now Pita told me, he fixed that guy and told him, you got to straighten up. your spirit comes in here. It's poisoning these people's healing. So and the same goes for each and every one of these things. When they bring them in there, they bring them in to heal. And they'll if they don't like you or they don't like what you're doing, they'll let you know. There was a story about this one time where this couple, they're both married, but not to each other. And so they were running around with each other, and they turned it off. They turned it off, and as they're doing that, turn that light off, and they start calling him. And he goes out and he starts fixing the person that start helping that person that they called for, heals him. And then they say that people say they seen this light walk around or float around in front of them, and it floats right in front of those two people, stops for just a second on each one, and then it stops. And then he starts screaming, I am gonna, and he starts speaking in the language. These people, they're bad. They're really bad. They're hurting their people, their husband and wife. They're hurting their children. They're hurting their family. They think they're getting away with it, but they know. And I'm gonna tell them. You tell them I know. They better behave, or if I come back, you're really gonna get it. And so when that old man starts telling them that, and he's telling them in Blackfeet, which hasn't been like that type of Blackfeet hasn't been heard for hundreds of years, and here he's telling the medicine man, you tell him, and then he says, and just to let him know, this is what can happen to him. And this, as he told him that, he starts fixing him. Boy, you can hear him punching and lifting these people and throwing them around in that room, and it's pitch black. So they shouldn't be able to see whoever's doing this, but he sees like it's day, and he gets done fixing those people. He gets done beating them up, and he tells them, I'm going to go home now. But you tell these people they have to fix themselves. They can't do that no more. They're hurting people. And so they start. So they finish up the song, and they get done bringing them out, bringing up with the rattles. They turn the lights on. Sure enough, those people, they had bruises on their body and in their face. One of them had a black eye, and their hair was all over the place. And what happened is they were told, these people, they don't realize that these people, these older people, are conservative. They live in the old ways about marriage and friendship and loyalty and all this other stuff. And if you're not living right around them, they're gonna fix you good. So I said, I got a few stories out of it tonight, and I really hope you guys learn some stuff, and I hope I entertain you, because I like you guys. You're good people, and
Yeah, we always love when you come on and tell us stories. We all love it very much, and we appreciate it.
and the Mal chick. I'm sorry, I'm an anachronism from the '80s. I like to say honey and all that other stuff. Um, um, Tell her that she needs to go see her medicine people from across there. Somebody that's on this soil that knows those old ways of their people. And I guarantee they'll be able to fix her. Don't go to the church, because the church ain't gonna help her. Because these
Right.
things, they're before the church. They're before the church. And so they're gonna they know Christ, they know his son, but they're totally different people. They're like Odin or whatnot. They follow the Norse ways or whatever ways that are over there. So yeah, I would tell her to go see one of their medicine people, and that they'll probably be
Yeah.
able to fix her.
Hopefully she comes back with an update at some point, and maybe we'll know how it turned out for her.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so well, thank you. I hope so too one day. We'll find out. If not, it's what was had to happen. And death is just like they say. Death is just another door. Wherever I go after this world, that's where I'm meant to go. I'm scared, but that doesn't mean I can't, that I'm not ready. So I'm going to get off. I'm going to sit here and listen to your guys and just, I'll be around. Y'all want to visit? I'll be here. And,
Alrighty, well, we appreciate it, and you have a good night, and we'll talk to you later.
yeah, yate means hello. Yep. But Red Hawk, how to say good morning? Yate a beanie. Yate a beanie.
All
Oh,
right. Hey there, Chris. How have you been?
I'm good. I'm chilling.
I saw that you fired Joel earlier, and I agree. Joel, you're fired. You're fired.
Yeah. Even though I haven't been here, he's fired.
Yeah, you're never fired, but Joel's definitely fired.
I was on a leave of absence, actually.
Mm-hmm. That's,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Let's see. All right, guys, tap the screen, send some hearts. More hearts equals more people equals more spooky stories. We've got a bunch of people waiting. I'm going to get to the very next person if she's still here. Katie has been waiting for a while, and I appreciate you, Katie. I really appreciate you waiting. Hopefully she's still with us. We will see. She may be gone already. Katie.
Hi.
Hello. Thank you so much for waiting.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's not Bigfoot, or nothing like that, and it's not native lore. So I don't know how this connects. But I can tell you, Bartonville, Illinois. That's where I grew up. And that was at Peoria County. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh. Okay. Anyway, so I grew up in Bartonville, Illinois. You can Google it.
Mm-hmm.
Peoria County. And I lived on a street called Ricketts Street. And right down the street, down a bit more or whatever. Anyway, that was Peoria County Insane Asylum. And it was closed down by the time I was there or whatever. But it was ran by a man named Dr. Zeller. Seriously, you can Google it. It's all there. But Dr. Zeller was one of the foremost people who decided that mental disabilities and physical disabilities still had they could still provide a communal advice. So, like, just because you're one way didn't mean that you were dysfunctional to the community. So, anywho, once upon a time, there was a trailway that ran between Chicago, Illinois, and Peoria County, and there was a young buck stranger, and he showed up there on the bus, and the only thing he had, I don't think it's PC, but he was deaf and dumb. I don't know if that's correct. But anyway, he could not speak, and apparently could not hear. But Dr. Zeller took him under his wing and decided that he could dig graves at the local cemetery in Bartonville, because he was young buckman. So he had him dig graves, and that was something he could do. So he did it, and but though he was deaf and he couldn't speak, he was I guess it's still called dumb. I don't know if that's PC, but anyway, he could not speak.
Yeah, no, just it's fine. You don't have to include that detail, actually. Just is this paranormal by any chance? Is this story paranormal?
I'm getting to it. So yeah, so Dr. Zeller trained folk to do things, and you can look it up. It's Peoria County, Illinois. No. So he couldn't speak. What do you call when you can't speak? What's PC now?
And the comments are saying that the term is mute. Yeah,
Mute?
so
Okay.
use that term. Yeah.
Okay, I'll use that term. I don't want to offend anybody.
Right. We don't want to be ableist here. I don't allow anything like that. So
No. I'm not trying to be that way. Okay, so he was mute. But also he couldn't hear. Is that still deaf or is that something else? Anyway, I'm sorry. So the guy was, and he showed up with the bus pass. And nobody knew what he was trying to. Nobody knew who it was, and but Dr. Zeller, and you're talking like 1900s, 1905. You can look it up. But the mute deaf person, he wasn't able to articulate himself that well. The only thing they could pull out of his pocket was a receipt, and it said Booker. And in 1905, Dr. Zeller decided he was going to be a grave digger. And he would dig holes for graveyards. I don't want to offend anybody, but that's what he did. And he would dig graves. Listen, but he wasn't just a mute. He couldn't hear. He couldn't hear. I'm looking at the comments now. Let's see. So he can't hear, and he can't express himself. So he's a mute. Fine. Mute is good. I don't see where this is going. Anywho, I'm going to carry on with my story. So he was a mute person, and this is like 1905 though. You need to realize the difference of 1924. I hope there's a big difference. Anywho, Dr. Zeller, you can look it up. You can Google this, Dr. Zeller. Decided.
What happened?
I have no idea. Okay, well, that's weird. All
He
right,
got
who has
abducted.
been? She got abducted. She got raptured. She got raptured. All right. Allie has been waiting for a while, so we're gonna bring up Allie. Or is it? It's Ollie in it, or is it Allie? I don't know. I can't see good. I'm having eye
Oh,
problems tonight.
yeah, it is
Hey,
Ollie. Hey, how are
Ollie. I'm
you?
sorry. Good. How are you doing?
Well, doing good. FYI, update from that Deer Park haunting thing.
Hmm.
Still nothing at all. Guy is still missing. It's been a while. And the only thing was, I went last Sunday to the shop, and Trish told me that's all she heard from the neighbor was just another phone call from that from the sister of the guy that was supposedly possessed. I mean, I think at this point, this is like central Mexico, so who knows?
Hmm.
But I think I cut somebody. Did I cut somebody?
No, you were next in line.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you
Well, I
mean?
mean, I have like just a quick story, and I don't know if anybody else kind of like can has the same thing happen to them. This was quite fairly recent, and we were actually in New Orleans. We were actually there for another friend who was gonna get like initiated into a hoodoo tribe. So I was already, initiated many years ago. So me and my old, childhood friend B and Andre, we were just all gonna make a little weekend trip of it, and we were gonna go. So we did, and this was just in January. This was January like the 12th, 13th, 14th, something like that. It was just like one of those few days. Um, yeah, it was nice. It wasn't bad. We were around the French Quarter, and what I quite frankly remember now, I'm a born magi. Like it's supernatural and everything. Those interactions I've had since I was a kid, I didn't know they were, ghosts. I always thought they were imaginary friends, but as you grow up and as you learn from different elders, from different people, and I'm blessed that I had that. Otherwise, other people would go crazy. I have gotten used to a lot of that stuff, so I would know what an interaction with a paranormal entity is. However, my strangest thing was we were at this nice little. It was around like maybe 6:30, not 7 for sure. So we were around there. We were at this nice bar, still a little daylight out or something like that. And, it wasn't so crowded, but I was walking and I bumped into a dude, a very, like, regular human being. I bumped into him and I felt a very strange feeling. And usually I felt this feeling when, I have had any kind of interaction with a dead spirit, like a paranormal entity that is no longer alive. Um, so that's what I felt. It was like very cold. It was almost electric, yet it was just strange. It made me and this guy turn around and kind of look at each other because it was just not cool. Anyways, I felt very, very bad. Like I had a very bad feeling about this. And I looked at the guy and I saw his face and he saw my face. The dude was not a ghost because he went straight to the bar and asked for a drink. And, this stuff like that happens, but I've never had this kind of thing happen to me. And basically, and I'm trying to go quickly with the story because I know other people want to go. Um, So, and it's just like, it was just strange. We looked at each other. I quite frankly remembered the dude's eyes. It looked normal, except the white of his eyes, I kind of very vaguely remember there was no veins. It was just too white and milky, like as if the person was dead. Again, I thought this was a ghost, a phantom, or something, but no. As the dude turned around and walked, I saw other people acknowledge this guy. I saw him sit at the bar and he was served a drink. Again, the dude looks at me like he knew something that I knew. Like I found out something, right? Like one of those serial killer vibes or something like that. Just trying to give y'all a picture of it. Anyways, I walk towards the door. My friend B, she comes and she just asks me a question. Hey, you ready to go grab a snack? And as soon as she says that to me, her expression changes. She looks directly at the bar and directly at that guy. And he is again looking at us. Okay? So, and again, I mean, this is her now. This is another person, and she is she's a pharmacist. She's also she also studies botany. Okay, so I mean, we're not like crazy. I mean, yes, we are witches in a sense, to just put it vaguely, but we are logical people. I'm a therapist. I'm a nurse practitioner too, and I'm just like, this is not logical. This can't be real. And she acknowledges this guy too, and she's like, you saw, and I was like, you see that too, right? We're looking at each other weird because we both see the same person. I was like, I just bumped into that guy, and I thought, that was not I thought that guy was not a guy. I thought that was a ghost or something. And she's like, I'm not getting any kind of good vibes from here. This was not good. All I can say is we just wanted to get out of there. Nothing felt right. So again, we grew up together. We know we've been, trained into and taught in the supernatural ways. We have interacted with supernatural spirits, our own ancestors, many a times. We have seen possessed people. We have seen, like, I have seen Jen. She has seen her own hoodoo spirits when she visits, West Africa. We know what we saw, but this thing was alive. This is a man. He looked normal, ain't nothing else. All in all, we're sitting down at the restaurant and we're all just looking at each other and we're just like, what the hell did we just interact with over there? What did we see? Basically, it was inconclusive, but I think we may have interacted with a cryptid. And I don't want to say the damn word. I just can't. I really can't. But the only thing is possibly vampire, but that is illogical. Like, I mean, whatever it may be. But I want to know if anybody else around the world on this forum has ever seen or heard of something like this, like a normal human being, but, they don't, that's not a normal human being. Nothing is real about that person. So I'm not too sure, but I have seen a lot of things. I have experienced a lot. And this was one of the very few things, and I think probably the most recent, and still, bugs me to this day. What was he? Who was that? And, what was it? Like, that did not nothing about that gave me any kind of good vibes. If it was a person, a human being that was maybe possessed by an evil entity, I would kind of have, that's a whole different feeling. That's a whole different vibe. I've shaken hands with people. I know that they're ill, or I get like flashes or visions, something of the sort. But this was just very, very off. So I want to know if anybody else has ever had that kind of interaction, because from the history of my people and anyone else that I have been, associated with, other tribes that I've learned from, this never came up. Never. Like, yeah, there are shapeshifters, there's other things, but nothing like this. And this is not logical. Like, but yeah, this is my story that's very recent, and I'm still stumbling on it because we don't have an answer for it.
The only thing that comes to mind for me is a doppelganger, but I don't know if you think maybe that is the case or.
It's an interesting theory. As a, yeah, and I'm just like, why did that have to happen to me? Shit, I was enjoying myself. Yeah, I mean, D is saying he probably was dead, but the thing is, like, how does another dead person interact with like other people at the bar? You know, like, in this setting. It's just that's what bugs me. I was like, no way that multiple people are looking at this person and feeling what it is. The only people that felt very icky was me and my friend Baisha, and that's it. And so, whew, and this was a lot. But yeah, I'm still a little like freaked out because I'd rather have had an interaction with the jinn. I would know what to do. Hell, you know what? Bring on a wolfman or something. Probably, probably not, but probably. But this thing was just too strange. I'd rather even deal with an alien, to be honest with you. But that one, because I can't explain it or what it was, it just no. Gene, you said it, and I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it, but you said it. And that's all that we can ever think of. And we went back home to the voodoo house to explain to grandma about this. And you know what? Baisha's grandma said the same thing. She said the same thing. That's probably what it was. And you know what? Sarah's also right. It could have been a doppelganger. I'm not too sure, but that was very, very strange. And that's my
Yeah,
most recent story.
that sounds really strange and really creepy.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna let the next person go, but let this story spread. If anybody who has experience with this, please let me not be crazy for this one thing.
Well, thank you for coming up and letting us know about that. And
Of
if you see
course.
anything else strange, come back and tell us about it.
Sure, sure. Okay, thank you so much. I'm gonna let the next person go.
Okay, thanks. Oh, there was something I was going to say. Oh, I know what it was. I was kind of halfway thinking. I was like, I've gone into public acting pretty creepy by accident sometimes because I'm just creepy in general. I wonder how many people have looked at me and been like, she's paranormal. She's not. That is not a human. That is a monster.
You know what happened to me one time at Walmart? Some little kid was misbehaving, and the mom pointed at me and said, "Look, there's the devil. He'll take you if you don't behave."
Oh my
Yeah.
God. She. What?
Oh, well, I mean,
What?
to be fair, it was when I was in high school and I was like really gothed out.
I was a goth too. I'm still a goth, but nobody notices it anymore, I don't think. I'm an old goth.
Yeah, but rude.
Totally. All right, let's bring up. Oh, Lodge Tales has been waiting. And my buttons aren't working as usual. Okay, here we go. There we go.
Oh,
Lodge
hi.
Tales, welcome.
Hey, it's good to be here again. So the
Yeah.
last person that was on, there's similar things to what he was saying that I know about and I've experienced myself. And One of them is we call them alcohol spirits. Now this is something similar. I'm not saying that's what that was, but I'm only using it to draw the comparison. You don't know that they're, well, not real. Like you could be in a bar. Everybody think about when you've got really plastered in a bar and you're just visiting with random strangers. A lot of times some of those strangers could be those alcohol spirits. You don't know that they're not real. It's really a creepy thing to think about, but they've they've bothered me before. They've bothered my dad. You know, my dad died from alcoholism, and he used to talk with them in his room. When you'd go in there, you'd hear people, a bunch of people talking in there, but when you go in there, it's just him. And he was kind. He would say, "Hey, well, meet so and so," and he'd look, and there'd be nobody there, and he'd always try to play it off, you know. But anyways, that's just kind of something similar. Those alcohol spirits can do that. So I have a handful of stories I wanted to tell tonight, and I guess I'll just rattle right down my little list that I made. Since you like Bigfoot stories, I got another one for you. So one of my childhood friends that I grew up with, he used to go sweat on a place called Chief Mountain on the Blackfeet Res, and it's really a holy place. People go up there to fast, sweat, to do all these things like that. Spiritual place for us. And as he was coming off of there, now this is the first story I've ever heard about white Bigfoot. There's white colored ones. And as he was coming down off of that mountain with those older men, he happened to look back up on that mountain. And then when he looked up there, he seen one. It was staring at him. And then he started kind of just like studying that little area. He stopped and he looked, and there was like 3 more. And they were, this is where it gets kind of crazy, but I guess they start waving at them, like waving by. And he looked up there at him, and he stopped the other men, and he says, "You guys, look, stop. Look right there." And he pointed out where he was seeing these white Bigfoot standing. And those old men looked up there, they seen him. They said, "Oh yeah, come on, let's just keep going now." See, those old guys never bothered around them, ever. But the old stories say that when the people were out fasting and seeking visions and stuff like that, that's who used to protect us, because back in those old days, they used to go out with just a robe, like a piece of flint, your pipe and tobacco. That's all you had. You were basically vulnerable to any enemies that were around, or bears, or animals, whatever. You were vulnerable. You were putting yourself out there when you go to fast. That's part of that sacrifice you make. But anyways, they say that those Bigfoot used to clear out all the bear, mountain lion, or whatever from around you, and they kind of like stand guard over you while you're up there and doing these things like that. Anyways, that's just a story for you I wanted to share that I knew about those white Bigfoot. So my next couple stories are about little people. So up in Canada, here's this place called the Sand Hills. It's a place up there. But anyways, they were starting to drill for oil around there. But this was on the Canadian Blackfoot's land up there, and they couldn't get any of the Blackfoot up there to Blackfeet are from the south in Montana. Blackfoot are the ones in Canada. So they couldn't get any Blackfoot up there to go on to their drilling crew with them. And finally, those non-natives that own that crew, they got somebody else in there. Just a bunch of people from off their res, their reserve. They started drilling there, and it didn't take them long. They all took off, and they got out of there. And when the tribe finally asked them, "Well, why'd you guys quit? What happened?" They said, "Well, we didn't want to stay. I pulled everybody off because we seen these little people about a foot tall." He says they all look like little Indians. And they described this lodge that they had and what they were doing. And they brought this this elder in, and he listened to his story, and he says, "What you seen was those little people holding a ceremony we called an Okon." Anyways, those little people they have those same ceremonies that we do, probably more than we do, but that one, apparently they share with us, which I didn't know. This is kind of a relatively new story to me. And so this next little person's story, my cousin was up at this this gathering up in the mountains, and with my other family and stuff, and they were just kids. I wasn't there, but they were just kids when they walked in on these older women, my aunts and everybody telling stories, and they walked in on a part where the aunties were talking about this woman that those little people actually came in and removed all of her teeth, and then they put them back in, just all randomly turned around, just put them in just random places. And I guess that woman was having a hard time talking. She couldn't really talk well. But those old ladies were talking about that, and they seen those kids there and kicked them away. But that's another story of those little people that I wanted to share. So this one happened to me personally. It happened in a place called Chemawa Indian School up in Salem, Oregon. That's where I went to high school for a little bit of my. I actually graduated from up there. But anyways, so here's these tunnels that go under that school. They're maintenance tunnels, and I always heard about them, but I could never find them, ever. It was like this big deal to me. Like I put it as my personal mission to go find these tunnels and to see if I couldn't actually see where they're at and verify that they're real. So one day I'm messing around and I end up finding them. I stumbled onto them. When I got down in there, yeah, they're just maintenance tunnels, but they have these lights that are kind of broke out here and there so you can see some parts. And one day we were all the way back. We went as far back as we could go, and we were standing back there. There was three of us. I went first because I knew where it was at, and I was showing them, my friends, how to get in there. And we're gonna go smoke cigarettes way back there. There's a manhole cover where there's a hole, and we're just gonna blow our cigarette smoke at that and just kind of visit and go back out. We're just exploring it, and I always went in there first to go and make sure there was no maintenance workers in there. So I went all the way back to this cinder wall. There's nothing there. It's a dead end. There's just little pipes running through the wall at the very bottom corner. And there's nothing. I mean, maybe a mouse could fit through there. That's about it. So anyways, I come back around that corner to where we're standing and my friend's already smoking his cigarette, and I light one up. No longer did I light it up than we heard this big man. Like, I say a big man because he sounded really heavy and he had boots on, come from that dead end, walking right toward us. And if anyone's ever been in a tunnel or a cave, you can hear sound really easy. You can tell where it's coming from and stuff like that. So this man come walking toward us, and our friend was still coming up through those tunnels. And there's a part where you have to kind of like get on your hands and knees and crawl under. He was just getting to that part, not quite there yet, but he was almost there. We ran, got under that thing, because that man was walking fast toward us. When I say a big man, I'm talking like a 400-pound man, like something big. And as we were running out, the friend in front of me hits our other buddy and knocks him into my path. And at this point, it's every man for himself. I don't care what's happening. I'm scared. So I just lower my shoulder and I run through him too. To get out of the tunnel, you have to climb over this gate, and it's weird how you have to kind of like tabletop your body on top of it and then shimmy over. It's really awkward to do, and it takes a little while. So my buddy's big, and he's trying to get over it, and I'm helping him, but he's stuck. I just can't get him over, and that thing's coming. We didn't even care about our other friend. I'm not proud to admit that, but we were so scared that this thing was coming and going to get us. And just then I'm looking, I'm just saying, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And I'm trying to push his legs. And out of the darkness, we see our other friend, and he's smaller than us. But he had the fear of God in him. He grabs my other buddy that's big and just rips him off the top of that gate and flies over himself first before we do. I was kind of glad he did that because it reset my buddy, and I was able to actually help him get over easier this time. And I was the last one over, but I could get over it pretty easy. And as I got over and jumped on the other side of that gate, that sound stopped just where the light starts. It stopped right in that darkness. Whatever it was mad. And I don't know what the hell that thing was, but when we left, my friends were really excited about it. It's the first time I've ever been haunted and spooked and blah, blah, blah. Before this, when I brought them friends up, I showed like another group of my friends how to get down there. And these are all from my tribe. These other guys are all from my tribe in Browning, Montana. And we're those days we were rough kids. We were pretty rough. And we heard that same thing, but we thought it was a maintenance worker. We didn't even know. I realized this after this happened to us, after my three buddies, or the three of us got spooked. When that thing came and we were running down there, we all bolted out the exits, and all the boys were running, and they were cussing at it. And they didn't even know. None of us knew. You can't catch me, you fat fucker. Sorry for cussing, but things like that. They cussed out this spirit as they ran out, and we didn't even know. But anyways, that could have been why it was so damn mad at me when we went back down in there. So moving right along, I don't want to take up too much time, but this other friend of mine, he lives right by these old railroad tracks. Used to live there. That was his childhood home in a trailer. So one night, the dogs are barking out back, and he goes outside to see what's going on, and his dogs keep barking, but they're staying into the house, like the outside lights on a big telephone pole, power pole, I mean. And the dogs are staying in the light, but they're barking up on this little tiny hill, like barking that direction. He goes out and he gets his dogs, sees what's wrong, and he could tell there's something up there because he could see them moving. He thought maybe coyotes or something. So he brings his dogs back around into the house. You have to go around that house on the other side of that light. So he's bringing them around, and then he stops because he sees those, what he thought were coyotes, got closer. And as he's looking over at those dogs, him and his brother, they weren't dogs. They had dog bodies, but they had human faces on them. Yeah, that really, really scared them, and I would imagine traumatized them and stuff. So I didn't know, like, because I used to see that house, but I never would go out there after he told me that, and I still look at it at this, these times, and kind of shudder at that, because that's something really bad, and I don't know what that is. The other guy asked about those stick people before. Okay, that same school I was talking about up in Shamawa, this girl told me a story, and she's from the South, from, I think Arizona or something. She told me the story about these stick people, and she described them as looking like sticks, like, but they have like red glowing eyes is how she described them. I didn't hear about, because we don't have that in our tribe. I just listened to her story and kind of put that on the back burner of my mind somewhere. Well, one night, the same friend that lived at that trailer at the time, we were roommates up there in that school, that Shema Indian school. We would sneak and smoke cigarettes out our window. We blow them out the window and kind of stand by the window right there. Well, we were looking in those trees, just visiting, and I could see these red beacons like on this tower way over there. I think they were like power lines, but you always see like these little red beacons on top of them. And I'm just staring at them, not thinking of anything, just kind of glancing around. Well, then they moved. Those beacon things moved, and I start looking closer and closer because we could see the tree line. It wasn't too far from us, maybe like 50 yards. And I start looking in there, like trying to focus. At night, you can't look directly at something. You got to kind of look off of it to see it. That's what I was doing to try and, focus on it a little better. Well, they were together like eyes, and it moved. And wait a minute now, and I seen something duck behind this tree. And I kept staring, and I kept staring. Then I seen them poke back out again, and I definitely knew I seen it. They were moving. So I told my friend, look in this spot. Tell me what you see. He's like, oh, those beacons? I said, I don't think they're beacons. Just keep staring at them. And as we look again, as we're staring, again it moves. This time we see its leg move. It actually moved, and we could see what it was. Man, it looked like a damn stick, but like a person. It was. I don't think of that movie, Guardians of the Galaxy. That little tree person that's on there, Groot. Yeah, something like that. But that's the only way I could describe it. I've never seen anything like that in my life since. But I told my friend about that, who was telling us that story. She says, yeah, those are the stick people. She says, I think they followed us up here. It was weird. It was one of the weirdest things I've seen in my life. So this next story comes from the same cousin that was up at that holy doings, that heard the story of those little people messing up that woman's teeth. She's laying in her room one night, and she lives way out in the country, and her sister comes in like late at night, about 2-3 in the morning, She walks into her room. See, my cousin needs glasses and stuff and contacts. She don't see very well. And so her sister comes in. She has this tote bag on. And she sits down. There's a chair in her room. She sat down and like just stared at her in the dark. And my cousin wakes up, looks at her, and is like, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" Because she just kept staring at her. And she got a little closer so she could kind of see her a little better, like actually see her face. And it was her sister, but she started smiling at her. And when she smiled, she said the smile didn't quit until it went all the way up to her eyes. And she was just smiling at her, and it scared her. She said, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" And she jumped back in her bed and was getting afraid. Just then, she stood up. Her sister stood up and started walking out the door. But as she turned her body to move to go out the door, her head stayed looking at her like an owl, like how an owl can move its head like that. And it was smiling at her the whole time, and she walked out and shut the door. So she could hear her there's this little pantry right beside her door, like a towel closet right by her door. And she could hear her kind of rummage around in there, walking around and stuff. Eventually, she was able to fall asleep when she didn't hear anything else. And so the next morning, she went and her sister was home, but she was sleeping on the couch out in the living room. And she woke her up and she says, "You were freaking me out last night. What was wrong with you?" And she says, "What?" Like, "Yeah, you were sitting in my room just staring at me." And it was just weird. She didn't want to tell her. It was just weird. She says, "I did not go in your room last night. I came right in and I went to sleep right on the couch. I didn't go anywhere. I just went right to sleep." And it's like, well, and then she started explaining what she's seen. And then her sister says, "When I got dropped off up by the road last night and walked down here," there's an old garbage can out there, right? She said, "I was walking by that and I seen something on the corner of my eye peek around that garbage can." And it was a coyote, because we have coyotes out there, right? She said, "Yeah, it was a coyote." And so she said, "I didn't think nothing. I just didn't want it to start trying to bite me or anything or attack me." So I kind of kept my eyes over that way and I kept walking. And then I looked over and seen it again. It peeked around the other side of the garbage can at me. She says, "But it smiled at me." I don't know how else to say it, but it smiled at me, and it was the creepiest thing. They compared notes the next morning and realized something probably followed them home or followed her to that house that was bothering them that night. But it didn't come back. She never told me any more stories about it ever coming back. This next one happened at this place called the Heartbeat Senior Citizen Center. I brought my mother-in-law up there because she was a cook up there, and she had to get, I want to say she was going to thaw out hamburger for the next day, like put it in the fridge from the freezer, something like that. But she was getting ready for the next day to cook for those senior citizens. They serve them lunch and stuff. Anyways, I bring her up there. This is around noon. It's daylight, right? It's not even dark. And we pull up and go onto the side where the kitchen side's at, and she unlocks this padlock and goes in. And I noticed that front door was shut. Usually when a front door is shut and it's padlocked, there's nobody in there. Well, as she went in, she started getting everything ready, and I could hear her talking in there because I had my window down in the car when I gave her a ride up there. And as I'm sitting there, I hear her talking to someone in there, and I says, "Oh, that lady, I don't want to say her name. She must have came in and just shut that front door, not thinking, because usually they leave it open." So I didn't think too much about it because I could hear her talking to that old lady. And she said, "What should I take out for tomorrow? This, that, and the other?" That old lady says, yeah, that sounds good." "So what you doing?" She says, "Oh, nothing. I was just sitting around. I was going to do a few dishes." And then my mother-in-law cut her off, like, "Oh, okay, yeah, well, yeah, that sounds good. I'll do that, and I got to get out of here now." And she come back out to the car. And as she came out and jumped in, I said, who is you talking to in there?" She looked at me really funny, and she says, "Nobody." I said, "No, I thought she was messing with me." I said, "You were talking to somebody in there. Who was that?" Like, "Nobody." I said, "You were talking to somebody in there who, like, I'm not crazy." She says, "Oh, no, I was on the phone, and I was talking to this lady up on the hill at one of her other coworkers." She says, "But there was nobody in there." And I told her, I said, Look, and there was whoever you were talking to this lady up there, but there was an old woman in there answering you. And I'm not trying to scare you. That's really what I heard just now. Anyways, that lady that I heard, I know her name. She had passed away. I think she hung out there one last time before she made the journey over. I'm not too sure, but she was one of the workers there. And that happened during, daylight. So that was a really weird thing that I think happened to me personally at one point, because during the day you never expect it. So I'm saying sometimes you can't tell that they're not real. I mean that they're past, that they just sound normal, look normal, everything like that. So moving right along, this next story is from this warehouse I used to work at, this flooring warehouse. So I kept seeing this shadow person look at me when I'd be putting the edges onto the area rugs. I'd be on my hands and knees, and I'd see it from around this corner on the peripheral of my vision. The first time it happened, I looked right away because movement caught my eye, so I looked. And before I could see it, it ducked back. I could actually see it duck back, but I didn't get a look at it. And I thought, I'm a little tired. It's nighttime. I'm probably just seeing things. So I brushed it off and I kept doing the rug. Then it did it again. I I looked and it moved back again. Like, what the heck? It's like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. And if I see it again, I'm not even going to look at it. I'm just going to get still and stare at it through my peripheral for a minute. And it did it again. So I stopped and I looked. It was a man's face. And it was like a shadowy thing. It was really dark. But I could tell the outline of it was a man. And he would have been on its hands and knees too, looking at me from around that corner. And as soon as I got the notion into my mind to look, it moved. It's almost like it could read your thoughts. It was weird, but it moved back. And I knew there was something there after that point, because things would happen that I just couldn't explain. For instance, one day I was walking down these aisles and I kept hearing plastic rustling. Okay, this is like a 500-pound roll of carpet, and there's other carpet stacked on top of it, but this one roll of carpet was twisting all by itself in the rack, like just twisting. There's no like physical way, there's no scientific way that could happen at all. But I stopped and I watched it. I watched it make, about a 16th of a turn, and then it stopped. And I knew that thing was trying to get my attention for some reason. I just didn't know why at that point. I kind of knew. But the other thing that happened that really scared me was we had just gotten in a truck full of this really nice hardwood flooring. I had nowhere to put it, so I stack it all the way up to the ceiling with the forklift. I leave the fork stabbed in it. I get off. Oh, but I take the weight off of it, and so it's kind of braced there. I get off, and I'm like wedging myself between the other pallets, and like seeing if I could knock it over, just to test its stability, because I never stacked anything that high before. It was stable. It wasn't going nowhere, so I relaxed, took the forks out, and put the forklift away, and went starting processing the paperwork for that. It wasn't even long that I sat down and got the purchase orders out and start matching them up that I heard that whole damn pallet just fall. Boom! I felt it shake in there. I heard boards skid about 150 feet all the way across the warehouse to the loading bay dock and just hit that wall over there. I kind of like facepalm myself. I got up and I says, "Oh no, what did I do? I just ruined this whole pallet, this whole stack." Well, it ain't gonna clean itself up. I'll salvage what I can, then I'll receive it and I'll tell them what's broke and what's not. I'll just approach it like that. So as I go out to go stack and I'm fully expecting to see this big explosion of hardwood everywhere, those damn pallets are still stacked up to the ceiling. I really got scared at that point because I felt it and I heard it, but there was nothing there. It was all perfect. It was still stacked. This warehouse had a lot of stuff. We eventually got a security cam. We caught it walk. When we first put it up, it walked in front of the security cam, then stopped and ducked back. Like looked at the security cam, then ducked back. We caught that on the video. My brother and I would look at it like, what the hell? Look at this. Whatever that was, I mean, it even bothered my wife and my daughter. They would use the bathroom in that warehouse. They were coming to pick me up after work one night. I was the only one there. It was late. and it started pulling on that door. I could see his fingernails. I mean, like the tips of his fingers under the door, pulling it, trying to get in there. And I don't want to say exactly what I did. It's kind of like personal, but at that point, once I knew it was kind of like messing with my family, is when I took action, and I cleansed that warehouse out. And how you, I don't want to talk too much about it, but what you do is you turn all the lights out. You get it dark. You don't want any electronics on, nothing like that. Then you start in with your prayers and your smudge, and you go through the whole place and you chase it out. I caught it on the other side where it was peeking at me. It was a furniture warehouse attached to a flooring warehouse. I caught it over there. And it stood right in front of me, that thing. It was trying to scare me. I could feel it, almost like being splashed by water. But when you have that smudge, there's nothing that can bother you, because you're protected by the Creator. He's got you. There's nothing that can harm you. So I walked right through it. And after I did all that, and I kept, the cleansing up, and I smudged that place out, it never came back. I was so thankful that it never came back, because it was starting to really bother me. So this last story that I have to share tonight is about this bunkhouse out in the country, just below where my cousin seen that person that looked like her sister with its head turned all around ugly. Right below there would be to the north of there, about maybe a half a mile. There used to be an old bunkhouse, and the guy that lived there ran horses. Well, my uncle was down there as a ranch hand, staying in that bunkhouse with two other people, a man and a woman. They were all working that ranch for him. So one night, as they were sleeping down there, and they just had a kerosene lamp, it's kind of way back when, but they were playing cards, like cribbage, and they could hear they could hear somebody singing Indian come from way over by that tree line, come all the way up to that bunkhouse, up into that front door. They just quit playing cards, sitting at that table, and they're all just staring at the door. And as that sound got up to that front door just burst open, like somebody kicked it open. And they seen this little Indian dressed in white buckskin. I guess he even had a war bonnet on. And he had this hand drum and a drum. He was only about 2.5 feet tall, 3 feet tall. He was small, but he was singing. And as soon as they seen that, my uncle blacked out. Like, he just totally blacked out, like he was knocked out. And when he came to, that little person was gone and there was no more singing. But that woman that was there with him, she was laying on the floor. And he said she was, the way he described it is she was having a laughing fit. He says, I couldn't get her to quit laughing. There was something wrong with her. She's kept laughing. And the guy that was with us, he was swallowing his tongue. He was laying there choking. And so I got up and I put my hands in his mouth there. I didn't have anything, so I just stuck my fingers in his mouth to hold his tongue down. And I got him up, and we start walking up to that house, that main house, to tell the rancher if he could give us help or bring us to town or pray for us or something. But he got them all out of there, all out of that place. But that was a pretty creepy place, because I know where that was at, and I didn't know that happened there. But anyways, those are the few stories I wanted to share tonight. And thanks for listening.
Those were extremely spooky. And everybody in the comments, don't forget to follow Lodge Tales. You can click on him and follow him. He has a podcast. It's really cool. You definitely want to check that out. Lodge Tales, thank you. We always appreciate when you come up and share stories with us.
Yeah, thank you. See you.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah, we love Lodge Tales stories. The one with the smiling face really got me, because for some reason, grotesque faces are, I don't know, they bother
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Distorted faces are probably the one that creeps me out.
Yeah. All right, we got bunches of people. I believe Tander was next, correct?
Yeah, she's been waiting.
Okay. Hello and welcome.
Hey, how are y'all?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Yeah, I've got stories. Wow. Let's see. When I was, I'm 42. When I was about 8 years old, and this is not like my first experience, this is just one of the many. Um, I remember my dad had built our house. So, for whatever reason, he built a window right next to the bathtub. And so, when you took a bath, you could look out into the kind of backyard of our house, of our land. So one night, like I said, I'm about 8 years old. I'm taking a bath and I'm looking out the window, playing whatever. And I see my uncle, and he's walking up from where there's a pond at. There's a pond probably 300 yards from our house, but you can't see it. It's wooded, and you have to kind of walk down this little dirt road. But it takes you into the woods. So I see my uncle, and of course I get excited because I was influenced by three uncles pretty much my whole childhood. So I see my uncle, and I get out of the bathtub, I throw my clothes on, and I run in the living room, tell Mom and Daddy, Uncle Clarence is here. And so I'm, I'm standing at the door, my daddy's standing at the door, and we wait for him. And, he should have walked up to the front door by now, and he doesn't. So I'm like, I know I seen him. He was there. He was coming, he was coming from the pond. And so me and my mom, and it was crazy because my uncle used to walk everywhere he went. He got a disability check, and every once in a while he would buy a car, but then he'd turn around and sell it. And his favorite places to go was Hawaii or Colorado. He had friends out in both places. So he was an alcoholic as well. He was a functioning alcoholic, but he walked everywhere. Well, me and my mom, we jump in a car that we had just bought from my uncle earlier that year. It was a Lincoln LTD, big, huge car, really nice for that time period. We jump in it, and if, being a kid, being inside that kind of car is just huge. So we're driving down the road. We don't see him. I turn around in the front seat of the car, looking out the rear window, and my mom's steadily driving, and we only get maybe a quarter of a mile from my house. And I said, "Look, there he is, Mama, there he is." And I saw my uncle again. This time he's walking down the highway, coming towards us, going the same direction we're going in. So my mom turns the car around. We don't see him. We go back to the house, and I swear I thought I was going to get a whooping. I was not lying. I swore him down. I saw Uncle Clarence. The next morning, my aunt called my dad. This was probably about 10 o'clock in the morning. I remember my dad sitting at the kitchen table, and he just kind of broke down, and we were like, what, what happened? And he said my Uncle Clarence had passed away on a picnic table in Hawaii last night. Yeah. So that was really, it was like, wow. Okay. That kind of still brings tears to my eyes because he was one of my favorite uncles. Every time he would come, like I said, he was an alcoholic. So he would go by the liquor store before he came to our house, and he'd get like a fifth of, or a pint of, whatever, and, Golden Grain or something, I'm sure, something cheap, and, get you drunk. And, he would have a little brown bag that they put it in. Well, before he would leave, he would always fill that little brown bag with $50, a slap full $50. And of course, then I didn't know the value, and I would give them to my dad, and my dad's like, "Yeah, I'll put them in the bank for you." Well, I never seen him again, but anyways, that's another story. But he would always do that. I remember him doing that probably 15 times in my childhood. And so the night that he passed away, for him to have come and sing me, oh God, I can't even talk about it. That was pretty cool. But I also have other stories. Let's see. These won't choke me up as bad. When I was little, that same piece of property we lived on, I always thought they were imaginary friends, pretend friends. But there was always a little girl, always there. She was, anytime I was outside playing, anytime I'd go in the woods, and I'm a tomboy. I was always in the woods, always outside playing. I've had poison ivy, poison oak 500 times. I mean, it's, I was that kind of kid. Well, there was always a little girl there, always wanted to play with me, always in the distance, but could never quite come play with me because there was always this older, thin, tall man standing behind her at a distance. And I always felt scared, but not scared enough to like run in the house or tell somebody. I always had a bit of a fear because of that man. Well, not too long ago, probably 2 years ago, I was at a friend's house, and there's a few friends over there, and this girl named Victoria, she was telling me that she used to live up on the mountain, which is where I grew up, was what they called it. Um, and I said, where at? You know, and we got to talking, and she told me, and I was like, she said, yeah, it was kind of crazy though when we lived up there. She said, I was pregnant at the time and I had a lot of experiences living up there. I said, what do you mean? You know, so she explained to me how well, her boyfriend at the time, and he was like a little thug or whatever. He had, when they first moved in, he would not stay there after like the third night because from the very first night, he had very vivid nightmares, I guess you could say, of Indians telling him to leave, that he was not welcome there. He was like, had the devil in him, whatever. They did not want him there. Okay. About the third night he had those nightmares, he got up, he left, he wouldn't stay with her anymore. She tells me, she said, it was a single wide trailer they were living in. She said, you know, we found a bunker. Me and the kids took off walking in the woods, and we found a bunker back there, and you would never know it's back there. It's just like a concrete box inside of like a hill, and it's so well hidden. And I was like, you know, and she's telling me, she's like, but the weirdest thing is, she said, I always got a strange feeling after we had left that bunker. She said, but the strangest thing is, there was always this little girl that kept showing up. If I was standing in the kitchen, she said this little girl would show up, like standing in the bedroom, you know, of how single wide trailers are laid out. It's like you see from one end to the other. She's like, and she was just standing there, but there was always a man with a hat on, like in a suit, always standing somewhere like behind her. And I said, are you shitting me? I said, and I've never shared this story with anybody. I mean, it was the last thing I expected for her to tell me, for anybody to tell me. And so I'm like, oh, wow, that is just, it's unbelievable. Well, back to when I was, you know, little, the reason why I never felt like fear or scared of that figure of that man is because for whatever, and I'm 4 or 5 years old at this time. I'm not even in kindergarten yet. I always had this feeling of being protected by like the American Indians. Who they were, what tribe they were, I couldn't tell you, but I always had that feeling that they were there. I could see them. I could just, not very vivid images, but just images of like them there. And so I never felt really fear of that. But for this girl to tell me during her time of living up there I'd say where she was saying that she lived to where my house was is probably 1,000 yards. Okay. It's in walking distance, just a hop, skip, and jump away. But for her to tell me that she saw, while she was pregnant, she saw a little girl with a man always standing behind her, and that her boyfriend was having nightmares of American Indians, like basically telling him to leave, get out of there, do not come back. He was not welcomed. Really kind of, I don't know, it gave me a sense of knowing that what I experienced when I was little, it was real, because it's something that carried with me my whole life, you know. It's something that you don't forget about. So it's kind of like a part of you. So to have something kind of tell you, hey, that really happened. Unless somebody can explain it to me any other way, which I don't think so. Let's see, y'all have any questions or anything?
Chris, do you have any?
No, I'm just enjoying the story. It's they're really good.
Well, it's crazy. I've had extraterrestrial. I have video, actually. Oh no, let me tell y'all this story. This is my other paranormal story. I was at work. I'm an office manager at an auto repair shop in a really small town, one red light town. And it's about an hour north of where I live, or from the town I live in. And I've moved since then. But it's only about 5 miles away. Well, I'm at work one day. My kids at the time are in high school, maybe 9th and 10th grade. And I'm at work, and all of a sudden, I have cameras in my house, by the way. I have cameras outside and inside because I was always at work, and I wanted to know when my kids got home, what they were doing, who was coming in my house, that sort of thing, because I am an hour away. And so all of a sudden, one day, my camera starts going off, letting me know that it's picking up sound. Well, I play the video, and it sounds like someone is in my house going through my silverware drawer. Excuse me. My camera is sitting on my windowsill in my kitchen, and it can kind of overlook the den and the living room to the front door, and one of the bedroom doors. Well, I mean, it's got a really broad view. So, but it can't look to the left of it where the back door or one of the back doors goes into the laundry room. And right to the left of it, you got there's a counter space, and then there's the silverware drawer. And it sounded like somebody was literally either breaking in my house or going through that silverware drawer. I get my boss, I mean, and it's steadily going off, like one notification after the other. So I get my boss, I'm like, look, somebody's in my house. I was like, or my kids are skipping school. He's like, I think your kids are skipping school. I said, yeah, but they've not passed by this camera. It's not shown anything, not my dogs or anything. I said, listen to it. What does that sound like to you? And he's like, sounds like somebody's going through your silverware drawer. And I was like, exactly. So I said, wait a minute, let me eliminate some stuff. I called my kids' school. Both of them were in class. I said, okay, they're not skipping. My house had double locks on it, double pane locks on it. I mean, you had to have a key unless you literally broke a window or kicked the door in. And even that was almost impossible, but I mean, you could do it. But I had good sturdy doors on this house and good trim work and stuff. So you had to have a key without it being noticeable to break in my house. Well, I was like, and also the mechanic that was there was 3 of us. We listened to this video over and over just to make sure I'm not going crazy. It's not one of, something, I don't know, anything. We're trying to eliminate, and make sense of this. Couldn't make sense of it. Somebody's in my house. Why? You can hear somebody in my house. I jump in my truck. I haul butt home. Nobody's been in my house. Nobody. I walk through there. There's nothing been touched. I smell nothing different. My kids are in school. My house is locked up. Nothing, no window, nothing. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. But how do I explain? I kind of more or less blocked that story out of my mind because I couldn't explain it. My boss heard it. My coworker heard it. You could tell someone was in my house. My camera it picked up sound and movement, and you could hear them. You could just hear what they were doing. Well, let's see. Another time at the same place, the same house, I was at my ex-husband's house, and this is like 3:00 in the morning. 3:15, I think it even says on the camera. And we're sitting over there watching TV or whatever. And all of a sudden, my notification for my camera goes off. Well, when you hear that certain sound, your kids aren't at home. Nobody should be at your house. That catches your attention. So I look at my camera and I have this image. I have this video on my phone right now. There is a figure standing. He is in white clothing. I say he because it is a man's figure. He's in white clothing. And for whatever reason, my sister said the same thing when I showed her that picture. I said, look, who does this look like? You can't see a face. You can just see the perfect image of a 6-foot tall man that looked like my dad. It was crazy, all dressed in white. And if you look closer, you can see another image beside him that's also in white. My camera caught these, and what's crazy is there was nothing there that could have created that image, or it looked into my dining room, which on that far wall, it was just a wall. There was nothing there to create an image or anything. Well, let's see. Another night, I had fallen asleep on the couch, and my camera, and I didn't notice this till later on. I just happened to be looking through my notifications, and my camera captured 2 white images. They were tall. They were next to each other. Tall white images, like fuzzy images, and the top of them were kind of bent over, almost like they were looking over the couch where I was laying. and my camera caught that. And I even I did a screenshot of the daytime or with the lights on to show you that nothing could have created what you were seeing in that picture at night. Let's see what else happened. Oh goodness, I'll think of everything later. Oh, I was leaving to go to work one day, and that same camera that was on the windowsill in the kitchen, I was talking to my dog, Coco. I was like, all right, Coco, I'm going to work. I'll see you later. And I'm at my front door, like getting my purse or something, I don't know. And as I'm getting ready to leave and I'm talking to my dog, you hear a woman take a really deep breath. Like she's like she's so tired of hearing me talk to my dogs, just go, and I hear this later on. I mean, I've got this video on my phone right now. Another night, all of us were asleep. It was about 3:00 in the morning, and there was one light switch in that house, and it was one of like the older light switches where when you flipped it on or off, it clicked. It was a hard plastic, and you could hear it literally like click. Well, one night I'm asleep. I slept on my couch a lot then. I'm asleep on my couch. And like I said, this camera's pointing into the den, and this is where this light switch is. All of a sudden, you hear the light switch click, but the light was delayed coming on by a millisecond, but then the light comes on. And it's like, I would have woke up. If my kids get up, I'm waking up. It just automatically, if I hear anything, I'm going to wake up. I never moved, not a sound. Nobody moved in the house. It was nothing. And then it quit videoing. Let's see. I've taken pictures in that house and always gotten like green and blue orbs. What else has happened? Man, I've had all kinds of stuff happen. I just have to remember. But if y'all have any questions, and as far as extraterrestrial, I have... Since winter of 2018, I have had something extraterrestrial following me. I have video footage. I have screenshots where I've zoomed in on my videos and screenshot the image of whatever it is, and it's unexplainable. I spent, I guess you could say, from 2018 for the first 3 years, I did everything to find logic behind what it was that was following me. From drones, saying it's got to be the law, but I don't do anything. I don't break the law. So, just trying to find any kind of explanation as to what that is. And not being able to really speak to or talk to anybody about it because they just look at you like you're crazy. But you know what you're seeing. I know what I'm seeing. And up until just recently, some of the images that I've gotten and the video footage that I've taken, since I came to realize that, okay, there is something that's following me. I can't explain what it is. I know that there's life beyond us, but my curiosity stems more to what is it that they want? What is it that they have an interest in? Because, when nothing really scares me, like really nothing really scares me. I deer hunt, I fish, I'm out in the woods a lot during deer season. When the sun hasn't even came up, it's pitch black dark in the woods, and I don't have a fear of that. So when you're like getting out of your truck and you're heading into the woods, but you see this light that has followed you from the time you've left your house to it being right over you, over this pasture, and it's not even 100 feet in the air. It's right there. It wants you to see it. I have video footage of all this. It's crazy. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what's special about me. I don't know if they said, "Oh, look, there's a retarded one. Let's play with her head." I don't know if it's. I don't know if I'm some third grader's science project. From space. It's just, it's crazy. But like I said, I can prove. If you guys had emails, I could send you. I could send you so much paranormal and extraterrestrial encounters that I've had. Like I said, most recently, of course, what I have on video is since I've been an adult, but I have had a lot of experiences with paranormal and extraterrestrial. So there's my story.
Yeah, it sounds like you have had a lot of experiences. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm glad you've got this page.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming up and telling us all that. That's going to give me nightmares tonight.
Wait, send Sarah those pictures.
Yeah, if you want, send me a message on here and
Okay.
I'll send you my email and you can email them to me if you want to share them with me because I also do like video and image analysis for like paranormal stuff. So,
Man, you have no idea then how long I've been looking for you because the few people that I have been able to talk to about that, like, I'm like, I want somebody to be able to analyze these pictures in this video because I'm taking this with an iPhone, it's not even the newest. It's like an iPhone 13 or something. And I've not edited them. The only thing I've done to anything, because I have all the original pictures and it has the timestamp on it, so it shows you the location and the time and everything. The only thing, if I've done anything, is I'll take a video, I'll pause it, I'll zoom in, and I'll screenshot those images. But other than like messing with the video or anything, they're all original. And so I can send you, oh my goodness. Oh, I've seen the mothership. I swear to God. I know it sounds crazy. I laugh about it because I don't know how else to explain it. But one night I was leaving from a place where I fish at. It's an old pond. It's been there for like 75 years, and it's in the middle of a cow pasture, and which is in the middle of a country. And the light that normally follows me, it followed me, and of course, at this point, I talk to it. I tell it to land. I tell it, hey, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. We can, you talk to me, I'll talk to you. And so as I'm leaving this pasture, I'm talking to him, and all of a sudden he kind of, or I say it kind of, how do I say it? Retracts itself kind of towards these two lights that I see coming towards me. Well, next to me, there's a private airfield for single engine planes, little small planes. And so I'm thinking, dang, I know that there's not two planes flying in here at night. Something must be going on. And I'm watching these lights, and there's a two-lane highway in front of this pasture that I'm headed towards. And I've got probably 200 yards to go once I start heading towards the road from the pond. And these lights are steadily coming. They're low in the air, and they're steadily coming at me. And by the time I get probably 3/4 of a way to the roadway, I look up, and I didn't really take my eyes off them, but I really focused in on what it was that those lights, what those lights were. And I swear to you, you could hypnotize me, and I could give you an exact description of what I saw. This craft that I saw was 200 times bigger than this little light that's been following me. This little light was nothing compared to what it was. It was like a charcoal black, aerodynamically engineered spacecraft with almost like red backgrounds to I assume what would be their windows or whatever. I don't know. It was just no sound whatsoever. And there was one on the other side of it. So the two smaller ones was one on each side and this mothership in the middle. And then I get on the road and I'm like, holy crap, I'm trying to look at this thing and I don't even think to grab my phone. I'm like, oh my God. By the time I start going down the road, because I'm just, I don't want to get pulled over by the law. I was probably drinking a beer, I don't know, but I don't want to get pulled over by the law. So I'm like, I pull on out the pasture and I'm going down the road and they disappear. Actually, I did start doing video footage by the time I got on the road. I remember that, but it was really crappy video footage. By the time I get on the highway that this road runs into, and I do have video footage of this, there are 3 lights that simultaneously line up, not even 100 yards above the roadway, and not even 1,000 feet apart from each other. 3 of them, and you can't see the third one on the video. Maybe you can, but I could see it with my, directly just looking at it. I could see the third light way up there, but you can see the first 2 lights so good. Okay, these lights, they fly in. I've got this video footage. I swear it's going to blow your mind. They fly in. They hover over the highway, perfectly in sync of each other. They hover there for, I don't know how long. God, you just have to look at the video footage, and then they're gone. But being able to get that video footage and being able to take it, pause it, zoom in at each millisecond of the video, just slowly moving, going through the video, the images that I captured from those lights are going to blow your mind. They, what else is it? They're not drones. They move at the speed of light. I've even on some of my videos been able to capture them flying in, coming, like just zooming up to my face, and me never seeing them. I can't sit here and tell you that I've actually seen something zoom up to my face and seen it or heard it. I haven't. But in the video, you can see where it just flies up to me and then flies away at the speed of light. It's wild. And I only started to really make video footage because the more I thought about it, the more it just kind of didn't scare me, because like I said, I don't fear this. I don't have a fear of it at all. It's more of a curiosity behind it, but just wondering what is it that they're attracted to? Why is it that they're watching me? Why is it that I see a different image every time I look deeper into what it is that's following me? What do they want? When are they gonna take me? When am I gonna be one of those people saying, "Hey, I've been abducted"? I'm just curious, and I kind of inside jokingly joke about this and say, God, if y'all please don't eat me. If whatever you do, if you want to chill, whatever, smoke one, hey, we can kick back, drink a beer. It's all good. We can talk about whatever. Just don't eat me, but they're here, and I don't know why. And I have friends. I do have a few friends that actually have witnessed these lights. We were standing at a friend's house one day in their yard. It was nighttime, and this is the only time I see the lights. Really, there's one other time that I did, and it was in the morning. I can tell you about that later. And we're standing there. I said, "Look, I want to see if this light follows me." And I get in my truck. And I drive down the road, and I drive about 3/4, not quite a mile, and I turn around, and both of them, God is my witness, they'll tell you themselves, that light left and followed me. They did not see it. They watched it fly away and go wherever in the direction I went in, and they seen it come back when I came back. So, and like I said, I've tried to, at first I was like, oh my God, the law is watching me. They got some high tech shit, because when you're from a small country town and you know how the law is and stuff, you kind of crack jokes sometimes. But and I've got friends, they're in law enforcement, and, they're the best people in the world. But they'll crack a joke about their own, agency. It's just how it is sometimes. And so, you kind of think, damn, they must be really bored to be watching me. What the heck? Or, you just try to eliminate, or you try to find, reason behind what it is that you're experiencing, because it is one of those things that you can't just talk about with anybody. You can't just say, hey, there's a light that's been following me since 2018. And, and them not look at you like, okay, you're on some really good shit. But,
Yeah.
Really, it's like, so, but yeah, for my whole life, I've not had like, everyday experiences or anything. I've just had experiences, and I've had, I guess you say, encounters. And, I'm not gonna sit here and say I've ever been abducted, because I don't think I have, but, I've definitely, as of today, pretty much as of today, I can pretty much tell you stories and show you pictures and videos of a lot of different spacecraft that I can't explain. There's one, I've got this video too. I will send you this video. I will send you the screenshots that I got from this video. And I was headed to a guy that I'm seeing. He was fishing with some of his buddies, and I had just got off work, and I was headed to meet them. And it's on the Flint River. I'm from Georgia, so it's on the Flint River. And as I'm driving down this 2-lane, it's a 2-lane paved road, but it's, it's kind of cracked up. It's been there a long time, but it's out in the middle of, it just goes from a red light town out into the country. And there's all pasture out there. There's, wooded areas and stuff, but this kind of far off the road before you hit the tree line. So it's a lot of pasture on the road frontage. And I see one night I noticed the light follow because I had gotten to the point where I started looking for the light. And so this particular night, I see the light. And as I'm videoing, there's something in the pasture and it's running parallel with me and the light. We're all running parallel with each other, going towards the river. Okay. I'm on the roadway. Something's in the pasture on the ground. And two things are in the sky. One's a little bit further ahead, but the other one is pretty much lined up with me and whatever else is on the ground. And they're probably 400 yards from me. I mean, they're at a distance. They're in the middle of a pasture. You can see the tree line from the moon and stuff kind of, behind them, but there's no houses there. There's nothing there. It's just pasture and trees in the background. And I didn't look at this video until recently. And when I paused the video and I zoomed in and I screenshot the images, I can't explain it. I can't explain the image I'm seeing. I can't explain it. You would really have to take a look at it and see that there's something that was moving at the speed of light, basically, had no sound to it, was staying in sync with whatever was like in the sky above it. But it's just, I don't know. I can't explain it. I can send you the video and the screenshots, like I said, but I can't explain what it is because it makes no sense in being in the logical world, trying to put logic behind anything that I've encountered. I really can't.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've tried to narrow it down to being a drone, narrow it down to being the law, narrow it down to being, but it is what it is. And like I said, I'll definitely message you and send you those videos and stuff. And I hope you can share them and let people see that, hey, look, they were taken with an iPhone. I'm a office manager at a auto repair shop. I have 3 grown kids. I'm not trying to get 15 minutes of fame. I just know what I've experienced, and it's pretty cool to be able to find this platform and be able to share those stories and stuff, and people kind of relate to them because these are true stories without a doubt. They're true stories. So.
Well, we do appreciate it very much, you coming up and sharing all that with us, and definitely feel free to contact me if you want, and I'll take a look at that stuff and, see if I can tell you anything about it. And yeah, thanks for coming up. Really cool stories.
Well,
You've had a lot of experiences.
I have, so it's really cool to be able to share them with y'all. But yeah, I'll be in touch. I'm about to take my butt to bed. I got to get up pretty early, so I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Georgia, so. But yeah, I enjoyed tonight, and it was nice meeting y'all, I guess you could say. And I'll be back. Hopefully, we'll be in touch. So we'll see.
Definitely.
You're gonna see. It's gonna blow your mind. Trust me, it's gonna blow your mind. So, but yeah, I'll definitely reach out to you, and we'll just go from there. Maybe we can. And really enlighten some people on some real, true, unexplainable encounters. Maybe
definitely.
No, who knows?
All right. Well, thank you so much, and have a good night.
Yes, ma'am. You too. Good night.
Bye-bye. Oh, you guys, you got to see a little montage of Bean. He's up here trying to steal my piece of gluten-free pizza that I've been nibbling on. He keeps getting up here, and just as he goes down, he's trying to take it with him as he goes. And I'm like, you're not dragging that onto the carpet, little man. Oh wow! Everybody tap the screen, send some hearts. I believe we've got some more people waiting. I'm getting pretty tired though, so we're gonna have to call it soon. But we got a couple of people waiting. This one has been waiting. I'm not sure what their name is. They've been waiting for a little while. They may not be here. Are you with us?
Who, me?
Mm-hmm. Did you request by accident? Oh, I think she might have joined by accident. Just in case, I'm gonna go ahead and drop you. But if you did want to be up here, come back. I have this weird fear of like hitting the button because like when I'm watching live streams, I'm like touching my phone all over and stuff, and I'm so afraid that I'm gonna be like listening to a political debate in the shower and accidentally hit the button, and then be like showering, like oh my god. You ever do that, or is it just me?
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
All right, Diana was next. Let's see what kind of stories Diana's got. You want to take over for a minute, Chris? I got to take a pee break.
Sure, go ahead.
All righty, welcome, Diana.
Uh-oh.
Another accident. Yep. All right. Okay, I'm gonna let you handle this one, Chris.
All right, then go for it. I got it.
Okay.
Hello?
Hey,
Hey, welcome. Do you have a story for us?
yeah, I have a kind of a strange story. Um, First off, I'll give you a little background. I was born on a native reservation, but I was found in a dumpster. City workers found me and brought me to the hospital and weaned me back to health. But that's not my weird story. But that just gives you a little background. When I was like 10 years old, I used to be afraid of everything. I wouldn't get out of bed to go, you know, to the bathroom at night. That's how bad it was. I used to have a night light and everything. So
Uh,
one night I'm in my bed and I wake up and I got this. It was almost like a fluorescent light in my room. I was literally pinned to my bed, and I had a hard time breathing. I couldn't actually move, and I thought I saw something moving like to the bottom of where my feet were, and this went on for just a couple of minutes, and then all of a sudden the light went off. There was nobody in my room, and I finally was able to get out of bed, and I was able to walk outside out the back door to see if there was anything there. And I was never afraid of anything ever again from that point on. And that was kind of a creepy thing. That's pretty much the story. I don't
oh,
know if
wow.
I don't know if anybody's ever experienced it was like a fluorescent green uh, light. That's the best I could describe it. But I was literally pinned to my bed. I remember I couldn't get up, I couldn't move, and it was pretty weird. But the weirdest part of the whole thing was, after that incident, I was just never afraid of anything ever again.
Is it possible it could have been sleep paralysis by any chance?
No, I was definitely awake. Sleep paralysis is, it's kind of like a dream state type
Oh,
thing.
okay. Uh-huh.
And I was looking around at things in my room to make sure that, if I was really awake. I remember, I mean, it was like yesterday. I can remember this happening, and from that point on, I didn't need a night light anymore. I could literally walk outside in the pitch dark, and I was never afraid of anything ever again.
Oh, wow. Wait, so before this happened, were you sleeping or were you just laying down?
No, I was sleeping completely asleep, and it was just in the middle of the night. Woke up and I realized I was pinned to my bed because I kept trying to get up or move my arm or anything, and I just couldn't move. And I mean, that's kind of the weirdest thing that's happened to me as far as weird stories. I had another kind of weird one happen I have a boat. I was fishing off the coast of Palos Verdes, in the ocean, and we had some kind of light go underneath the boat, and it was like almost the size of a half a football field. And we had fishing lines all the way down to the bottom of it was like 50 feet down because we were bottom fishing, and this light went underneath the boat, and it didn't touch any of our lines, because that's the first thing I looked at when this thing was going underneath the boat, and nothing touched the lines. And I could never explain that either.
Wow, that's
Hello,
really interesting.
hello, host. By the way, want to say hi to everybody here. You missed my green light story, but that's okay. But it
Oh,
was
actually, I didn't. I heard
oh,
it.
oh okay, yeah. That's probably the one of the strangest things that's happened to me in my life.
Yeah, that's
Um,
cool. The ocean's definitely a really creepy place.
yeah. It was more weird because there's sometimes there's algae that illuminates in the water,
Yeah.
and this was like a square. It was a square. It wasn't like a whale. Couldn't have been like a porpoise. It was huge, and it went completely under the boat. And we had four poles in, and each line was going all the way to the bottom of to the surface. So, and nothing touched the lines. I mean, to this day I couldn't explain what that is, but that was weird. Anyway, there's my creepiness for the night. Um, but as far as being found in a dumpster and all that, they're writing a book about my life story and what's happened to me. I was raised in foster care. I made my first friend when I was 18 years old and stuff like that. So, but I've done really well for myself, and I'm here and happy. So it's all good.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. We really appreciate that.
We
Yeah,
have a
thank
good
you.
night. Thank you.
Thanks, you too. All right. It looks like I don't know what that name is. KRTYR, you're back. Does that mean that you do want to talk to us? We'll try it
Yes, I
again.
do.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I lived in a haunted house for about 22 years, and that's been in my adult life up until a couple of years ago I lived there. And we all had some weird experiences in that house. The first experience we had was right after we moved into the house. My then husband was going to get up into the attic because we kept hearing water dripping and could not figure out where in the world it could possibly be coming from, because where it was dripping, there were no walls for it to drip down whatsoever. The attic was just wide open. And there was a crawl space in the closet, which we came to know as the ghost closet. And it was in the ceiling, way up high. And he got on a little step stool and he was just going to look up there. And he had already looked up there half a dozen times. There was nothing whatsoever up there. No lumber, no wood, no things, nothing. And the second he pulled that crawl space door open in the ceiling, a brick comes flying out of it and bashed him in the head. And it almost knocked him out, but it didn't. And to this day, he's got a scar over his eyebrow, and that was 20 years ago. But we continued to hear water dripping, and we just decided, okay, well, that's it. We don't know what it is, but we don't have any links or anything. But what was strange about that is the closet, the ghost closet. We closed it, and we never went into that closet again for years and years. But it sounded, no matter, there was four doors, one, two, three, four, five. There was two closet doors and a bathroom, and the bathroom door and the door to two bedrooms. And it was just a little entryway with all these doors in it. And you could close the doors as tight as you wanted. You could lock them. You could put things up against them. But it constantly, every time the wind would blow, it sounded like a door was hanging open on like a barn door or something. And we couldn't figure out how to make it stop. You couldn't close the doors or anything. Well, I finally figured it out. If you left the door open to the ghost closet, it didn't do that anymore. And so that was really kind of strange. Eventually, I decided that I was going to clean the ghost closet out maybe 10 years later. And I drug everything out. There wasn't that much in it, but everything that was all dusty and yucky from being years of not having messed with it. And so I had about enough of the dust as I could handle, and I went into the living room, which was one of the doors that was in that little entryway. And I sat down in the recliner, and all of a sudden I heard this whomp, and then it sounded like glass, like a case of glass bottles breaking. And I thought, I knew I didn't have any glass bottles in there, and I thought I'd gotten everything down on the floor. So I walked in there and I looked, and there was no broken glass. There was no box with glass in it, and nothing had fallen out. Everything that I'd put on the floor was still on the floor, and nothing was left in the closet. So I kind of backed slowly through the living room door and went over and spent the rest of the day with my neighbor. That kind of scared me. But the one well, there was a little boy in the house, and he was probably about 7 years old, maybe. Not a real little boy. It was one that I kept seeing. And one morning, I was sitting on the couch bright and early, and I was working on one of my projects, and I was focused in on it, and all of a sudden I felt something tug my hair from behind, and I thought that it was my grandson. And I told him, I said, "Christian, don't do that anymore. You scared me half to death." And I didn't hear anything, so I looked back behind the couch, and this was probably about 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was in the summertime, so he was still in bed, or I thought he was. And I looked back there, and there wasn't anybody back there. And I said, thinking, okay, this didn't really happen, did it? And I get up and I go and look in the bedroom where he was sleeping, and he was sound asleep in his bed, obviously had not been up whatsoever, was literally out cold, sound asleep. That was kind of interesting. And this little boy, I would see him out of the corner of my eye from time to time. He was a practical joker, and he was always smiling. I don't know what connection he had to the house, because an older couple they built the house and raised their family in the house. And I don't know what connection he had to the house. One thing that was really, that spooked me quite a bit, it spooked me a lot actually, but I was never really scared, but a couple of things happened that did spook me. We'd just gotten back from Port Aransas. I live in Texas. And everybody was tired. My ex-husband was tired. Christian was tired. I was tired, but I had to get stuff out of the car and, get everything situated. And I spilled something in the kitchen. And to this day, I don't remember if I thought this or if I said it out loud, but my thought was, I must have left the paper towels in the back of the car. And before I could turn around and head out of the kitchen and go to the front door, I heard this pop, like if you had your cheeks blown up with air and you popped them with your hands. It was pop like that. And I heard something, and I turned around and looked, and the exact paper towel roll that I was looking for was rolling across the kitchen floor. And that was pretty weird. And so I was going to wake my husband up, but him and Christian were in two separate beds. They were downstairs, and there was a loft in the bedroom, and I always slept up in the loft. So I went up to the loft and I sat down. I'm thinking about this. My heart's still racing, and I had a flat screen TV up in the loft, and it was probably 7 or 8 feet from me. And I glanced at it, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw something move, and I thought, oh my God. And I ran downstairs to wake Ray up, because I was just spooked. But this is kind of funny. about the time I couldn't stop my hand from grabbing his shoulder, I realized it was my own reflection in the TV. But that was not a paranormal experience. But I was just scared to death after that. After those paper towels seemingly popped out of the wall and rolled across the kitchen floor. And another time, and this is the last one. I could tell you many more, but this is the last one. I had forgotten to turn we had window units. I didn't have central air, and I'd forgotten to turn the window unit on in the bedroom, and it was in the middle of the summer, and it was hot in there. And so I shut the door and turned it on. And when we went to bed, it was still hot in there. So I had on some shorts and a t-shirt, and he had on some shorts, and we were laying in bed, but we didn't have the sheet pulled over us or anything. And all of a sudden, I felt something dance across my legs, like a real gauzy curtain or something, just flittered across my legs. And I jumped out of bed, and about a second and a half later, he jumped out on his side. We didn't go to sleep again for hours. I don't know what happened that night. But there was definitely someone in my house. I have one picture, and it was when I had a cam, a security cam set up in the living room, pointing from the wall all the way across the living room. You see the kitchen door, the front door. You can see the door to the hallway. But I had a curtain hanging between the kitchen and the living room because it'd get too hot in there. And the window units, they don't always absorb the heat in the summer. And so that was in place. But I had two curtains hanging where there was one that was on the living room side and one that was on the kitchen side. And the one that was on the kitchen side was in this picture that I got on the security cam. It's just a picture. It's pulled all the way across, and it's over the top of my desk. And that's definitely not something that could have happened by itself. And in fact, you couldn't have done that and made it stay there. It's like it's almost suspended over the desk, and not over it, but it's actually on it. But that's the only picture I have of anything happening in the house. But anyway, those are my stories, and it was very, very interesting living in that house for 20 some odd years, 22 years, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty wild time.
It was. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah, thank you for sharing with us.
Well, thank you. You have a great evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That's pretty spooky. I'd actually really like to see that picture. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I have a picture. Actually, I personally have never captured a picture of a paranormal entity, but everybody I know has captured some kind of phenomenal picture. And we were on a ghost hunt one night, and the woman who founded the paranormal team, like it was her team, she captured the weirdest set of pictures, and it's like 5 or 6 frames. And we always called it the curtain ghost because it looks like a curtain. And every time I've showed it to strangers, well, not like I really show it to a lot of strangers, but anytime I've showed it to anybody that doesn't really know anything about this stuff, they're always like, oh, that's just a curtain on the wall, like on the window or something. I'm like, there's no window there. There was another room there. But it looks just like a curtain, but then it moves across 6 frames or 5 frames, whatever it is. Super weird picture. Crazy.
Do you still have it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got a ton of paranormal pictures, and I am very picky about paranormal pictures. But like I said, I never captured any of them myself.
Yeah.
But it was like always when we were on a ghost hunt together, or, somebody on my paranormal team captured it. But yeah, I do have quite a few. I'll send them to you sometime.
Yeah, send them to me on Instagram.
Yeah, definitely will. It is getting late, and we have so many awesome people waiting to come up and talk. Let's see. We'll get one more in. We'll squeeze one more in. It's getting a little late though. We're gonna have to call it pretty soon because I'm old and tired. Hello and welcome.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I guess I have 3 stories, so I'll let you pick from which one you want because I won't bore you with all 3. I have one from when I was young. I have one from when I was in college. That is probably the scariest. And then I have a third from working in law enforcement, dealing with a lady who I've come across a lot of schizophrenic people, but this lady was, I'm pretty sure, was possessed. And I don't say that blatantly, but like it's yeah. So you can choose from the three, I guess.
I'm gonna have to go with the possessed lady.
Okay. So we get calls on this lady all the time, and I'll just use a fake name for her. And usually when dealing with people, you're dealing with like schizophrenics or people who have mental health disorders. And this lady, will just call her Sarah. Sarah is in her mid 40s, and she is known to local law enforcement because she has these bouts where she kind of goes crazy and does really strange things. Well, she the first time I ever met her, I actually met her because I complimented her bike out of a gas station. She was outside of a gas station, and this is before I knew that this was right when I was with the department I was at, and seemed real nice, real lovely lady. And then the next call I seen her at, she was acting crazy, and so we take her into the jail, and she's just doing the regular kind of schizophrenic thing where she's not really know where she's at. She's kind of saying things that are off beaten. Um, she's going back and forth on what's going on around her, and I saw this switch in her, almost like she was playing us, but there was like this switch in her eyes, and her eyes just turned like, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but they just turned this black color. I've dealt with all sorts of people who have mental health issues, but she just stared right through my soul. And so we're dealing with her where we'd get her into the cell and we'd watch her, and she'd be talking to herself forever, which is pretty typical of schizophrenics and other multiple personality disorders, those kind of things. But I would like go to the window and ask her if she was doing okay, because she would start like hitting her head on things, and the like dealing with her multiple times, it just increased and increased, and she started saying things that like to me that like she shouldn't know, like things she shouldn't know. And me and my partner at the time, I was like, man, we should really see, like she's really like freaking me out. And he's like, yeah, like that's kind of how crazy is. And I was like, yeah, but she's a little different. And so I asked her in the cell if she would like a Bible. And she was like, yes, I would love a Bible. I think a Bible would be great. And so I'm like, yeah, let me go grab you a Bible real quick. And so I go and I grab a Bible for her, and I put it through the cell hatch to her, and she grabs it, and she just starts tearing the thing up. And she starts speaking in these crazy languages, and that is whatever. That could be, her mental health, whatever, right? But we continue on, and I'm like, well, that was really weird, because I closed the hatch up. I'm just like, whatever. And the next time I deal with her, she's just like, it's hard to say, because I'm terrified of this woman. She's a little bitty 40-year-old woman, and not a lot of things. I've seen people die. I've been there when people like have horrible things. I've been on stabbings, all sorts of stuff. But this lady just terrifies me. She knows things. Like, she hasn't done anything supernatural yet around me, but she knows things that no one should know, and she sees like right through your soul. And I'm just trying to think of specifics of every time I've just dealt with her so much, but she's the last person I ever want to hear that I have to go see. So that one's not as interesting as my college story. I could tell that real quick if we have a little bit of time.
Let's hear that one.
Yes.
Okay, so I was in college, and I had a friend who, she was like a sorority girl. She was like 21, I believe, when this happened. She lived about 2 blocks away from me, and her name was Nicole. And she called me one night, and she was bawling, crying. And she's like, can you come over? Can you come over? And I was like, yeah, I'll come over. I thought like someone had died. So I rush over to her place, and it's like 2 a.m. and she's outside in her car and she's bawling. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, there's something in my basement. Like, this takes a while for me to get out of her. She's like, there's something in my basement. It's messing with me. I don't want to go back down there. Will you stay the night with me? And I'm like, sure, no biggie. I'm like, did she freak herself out? And when I say this girl's a sorority girl, I mean, she is the epitome of like, yeah, okay. Like, what are you doing, Becky? Like, total sorority girl. So we go down there. I sleep next to her in bed. It's all platonic. It's nothing like that. And wake up, nothing happens. And then I get a call 3 nights later, and she's bawling again. So I go back over there. And this time she is shaken to the core. She's like, it ripped the sheets off. It was standing over me. It threatened to assault me. Like, I'm terrified. And I was like, well, what's been going on? She's like, well, it started in the kitchen, and it would like throw around pans, and I like gave it a funny name, like, I don't remember. She called it Michael or something. She's like, I gave it a funny name. I was like, oh, that's just Michael the ghost or whatever. And she lived with like a cat, and she just like gave this thing a weird, funny name that she would call it. But it had gotten intense and intense, and every night it started like really getting physical with her. And so I was like, well, this is crazy. I was like, you go, you obviously can't sleep here. Go stay at your parents' house. And she didn't really get along with her parents that well at the time. But she went and stayed with her parents' house, and she's like, can you help me? Is there anything you can do? And I was like, well, I had a buddy, Anthony, who was on the TAPS team in my state. And I was like, let me call him and see what he has to say about this. And I just thought maybe she was overreacting or she was dreaming, right? So I called my buddy, Anthony, who's on the TAPS team. And I was like, hey, man, like, my friend Nicole's freaking out. Like, is there any way you guys can come over here and just do like a walk around or do whatever you do? Because I have no idea what this is like. And so he's like, yeah, hell yeah. We can come tomorrow night. So we all meet up at Nicole's place around like 8 p.m. And she won't go in, but she lets him in, and he's like, you should come with me. And so I went with them, and they were doing recordings, and they were doing like video and audio and all this stuff. And while we were in there, like, they were getting the really high readings from the kitchen, from their thing, and they're like, well, it could be a pipe. And then like as we were there for a little bit longer, the reading dropped and then went all the way up. And they're like, well, if there was like a pipe there, I don't know how this stuff works, but they're like, if there was something consistent there, the reading would have stayed high. But they're like, we didn't really see anything. So they're like, hey, we're going to take our readings back home, and then I'll call you back. And so I get a call back because they had gone through them that night, and he was like, dude, you got to come over to my house right away. And I was like, all right, I'm going to head over. So I head over there, and he's like, you've got to listen to this. He's like, this is the clearest reading we've ever had in the entire time we've been on TAPS. And so I'm like, all right, let's hear this. And he's like, it's really creepy, just warning you. And I was like, all right. So because during this recording thing, they ask questions. They're like, who are you? What are you doing here? Like, they ask questions or whatever. And he was asking it questions, and this is, I'm no joke, this is what it said. He was like, he's like, who is this? Why are you here? Blah, blah, blah. And like, you couldn't hear it on live, but when they used their special recording device and cranked up the volume, you heard this thing say, are you mad at me? Like that, not even joking, the clearest I've ever heard it. Like, the hairs on my arms stood up. I was terrified. And it was like, are you mad at me? And I swear to God on my children, that's exactly what it sounded like. Nothing else happened. That's all they caught on audio. But it was clear as day. Like, there was no like, oh, this is just some vocal stuff. It was definitely a voice. And so they're like, hey, man, we deal with this a lot. You need to tell her to move out of there. Like, she gave this thing a name, blah, blah, blah. And tell her to get away from it. Like, we don't really know what to do in this situation. And they thought it was like a demon or a poltergeist or something. And so she ends up moving out, and this is the end of the story, but she ends up moving out, and she said while she was moving out, she'd packed up all of her car, and she was driving towards her parents' house, and she could see the black figure under one of the overlights, one of the street lights. It was dark out, and she could just see it watching her drive away. And then she said the last time she ever saw it, she said she started going to church again, and the last time she ever saw it, she was laying in bed with her mother that night that she had went away, and she saw it in the doorway of her parents' house, in the doorway staring into her mom's room as her and her mom were laying in bed, and it was just looking at her. She started going to church again, and she never saw the thing again. That's the story. So,
Wow, I love the voice that you did. That really got me.
swear to God, that's what it sounded like. I was terrified. Yeah, that one was really creepy. I'll have to send you the recording of it.
Oh my gosh, yes, please.
It's and when I say it sounds just like that, it sounds just like that. Like, I thought when he was going to play me something, it was going to be like some mixed up audio that kind of sounded like something. You know how people do it? Like, they read into things more than they are. And what he sent me was not that. Or what he showed me was not that. It was terrifying. So,
yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, those are my two stories.
Awesome.
Maybe I'll tell the
thank you.
third one some other time.
Yeah, definitely. And if you have any other strange encounters, be sure to come back and let us know about those as well.
I will, for sure. I got one more that I'll tell you some other time.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for coming up.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Oh, what is the little doll? You know, the Barbie doll that talks in the gremlin voice here on TikTok? What is her name?
Oh, I actually don't know.
Oh God, she's so funny. She sings Lana Del Rey songs in that voice. That's who it sounded like, and I started laughing so hard. Oh my God. I have to find her and send her to you. Oh my gosh, so funny. Wow. Okay.
That was
we're
creepy.
gonna call it. I know it was. I also was laughing about when he said that they gave the woman a Bible and she started shredding it. I was thinking, well, I can't blame her for that. But oh gosh, yeah, those were creepy. I'd like to hear that. I can't wait. I hope he doesn't forget to send it to me. I'm going to have to take Bean and feed him a piece of pizza, I guess, because he's going to tear my legs off. So we're going to call it for the night, I suppose. But thank you all so much for being here. And everybody go follow Chris. Show Chris some love. Give him a follow and all that stuff. And we will be back tomorrow night. Probably about the same time. I always say I'll try to get on early, but I never make it. I'll always try, I never make it, but we'll see. I might be on a little early. You guys can turn on notifications. You'll know when I go live. That's on my profile. Anything else? Yeah. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Chris, for hanging out with me. It was fun. It's always fun when you're here.
Yes, of course.
And hopefully you get to come hang out tomorrow with us, and
yes,
we'll have some more crazy stories. But until then, guys, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.